I think Tevez going to Juventus, what a coup that was for me. I mean,
on a head-to-head battle, Atletico Madrid can do more damage to Barcelona than the other way around.
Either he's really blind or he's fixing the match. I can't see it any other way.
it is an upset. You would expect Man United to go and win there.
Over $1 billion was paid in transfer fees between the clubs in Europe.
And Bayern Munich are going to be favourites for me against anybody at home in the world. The 03-04 season, actually, Olympiacos have won 8 of the last 10 domestic league campaigns, so there is only really one team in Greece, which we kind of already knew.
Because things have been pretty much decided, just as a quick glance before we go through the table, PSG is going to lock up this thing with one more point. Monaco's solidly in second place. Lille is going to be in that Champions League qualifier position, 7 points ahead of Saint Etienne. If you're a serious talent, you're going back and you're playing for Santos. You're going back to play for, like in Argentina, for River Plate or Boca Juniors, or you're going to Europe.
He looked like the Ryan Giggs of old. He was more creative than any player on the pitch. He made Mata look stupid. He made Rooney look silly.
I am your host, Joe Usello. My co-host, Rob Rojas. My trusted co-host, Ben the Machine. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this special edition of Low Limit Football / Two Daft Yanks podcast. I am your host, Joe Usello, joined tonight, or this afternoon, by my usual co-host of Roberto Rojas. Rob, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Great, and I'm excited to have this special podcast put together. It's been in the works for a couple of months, and we finally got it up and running. What's great about it is we're being joined by the Two Daft Yanks, which are Chad Smith and Corey Chatelain. First, Chad, how are you? Unless I've lost Chad already. It goes right off. Well, let's go to Corey. Corey, how's it going?
How's it going, fellas?
Good.
Glad to be here.
Good. I guess we'll get Chad back in a minute or two or 10. But you know what? I guess because they're listening on our live broadcast server, but I'm hoping that tonight we've got a lot of your guys coming on. Tell us a little bit about what you guys do over at Two Daft Yanks, Corey.
Well, as the name implies, we tend to, obviously we're big world soccer fans, world football fans, but as the name implies, we tend to try and look beyond, the regular stuff that you're going to get everywhere, and try to, make it funny, make it off the cuff, but, still deliver needed info, that we think people would find interesting.
Yeah. No, and I've given a listen to a couple of different shows for you guys, which have been fantastic. And again,
appreciate that.
Like I had said to Chad earlier, there was one I listened to this most recent podcast, and there was that one topic that I wanted to talk about with you guys about Qatar 2022 that you guys made some great points on, but I wanted to actually play devil's advocate because I think it could have gone either way. But I guess we'll leave bashing FIFA tonight, maybe for another. As we get a little closer to one of these bigger international tournaments, there's plenty of opportunity to bash FIFA. Maybe when Sepp Blatter wins the election, even though nobody wants him to win, we'll maybe bash that. We'll get together and we'll start beating people up. So, I'm sure we'll have some fun with it. But tonight, again, like I said, this is the first time that we've done a dual podcast. It's our first time on the pitch with a new team, and it's fitting that we're doing it with two new teams walking on the pitch down in Orlando for the Orlando City, New York City FC matchup that's going to get underway in about 20 minutes or so. Although ESPN has started their coverage, it's all the pomp and circumstance that goes along with it. Rob, I'm going to go to you first. What do you think of two new teams starting out, opening a season or opening their histories, I guess, for lack of a better term, together on the same pitch on the same night?
No, I think it's quite brilliant. I think it's the perfect way to start a new season as a new franchise. Obviously, Orlando City FC and New York City FC. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely going to be interesting to watch, especially with these new type of players that are on this team, and veterans as well.
And I'm sure we're going to get into little factoids of this match and some of the players. We'll talk about the histories and how these two teams came into being a little later on. But let's, I guess Chad decided to finally join us. So, Chad, how's it going?
Oh, greetings, fellas.
So, Corey gave us the rundown of what you guys do over at Two Daft Yanks. Anything you want to maybe throw out there as to what you guys do in terms of a podcast?
You know, it's fairly standard stuff, but as Corey said, we do like to try to cover stories that impact the game, but aren't directly involved in the game. So, you know, we talk a lot about finances, and we'd like to talk about a lot of the histories behind the clubs over in Europe because they have such a rich history in terms of, you know, how they got their names and the famous players who used to play for them. So we just try to cover it from all different angles.
Yeah. And you know, that's a lot of, you know, it's this game that we all love so much. There's just so much more to it than just, you know, 22 men on the pitch kicking a ball around for 90 minutes. Like you'd said, the histories, the facts, the behind the scenes, the finances, which have come into play a lot more lately. It's been a hot topic with FIFA, with financial fair play. That's kind of, you know, running around in Europe at the moment. We also talked about, as you and I were talking about setting this thing up, we thought we might not be having a podcast tonight, or at least we were going to have one. It just was going to be a giant bitch fest about how these guys can't get together and sign a contract. But I guess we're not going to get to have that fun tonight. But I know that wasn't on the agenda, but I'm sure we all have opinions on the recent negotiations that happened between MLS Players Union and MLS, and they finally did sit down and sign a contract that's going to take them, I believe, for another 5 years, guys, right?
Yep, correct.
Yep, okay, so you know what, Chad, I'm going to go to you first. What do you think of the contract? Do you think the players got enough of what they wanted, or do you think they got screwed?
They took a bad deal.
Yeah.
No doubt. If you listen to the reports late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, I guess, they did actually vote to strike.
Okay.
And then less than 12 hours later, they signed this ridiculous deal where they basically got little to next to nothing in terms of what they actually wanted. Now, the early reports were the MLS was offering free agency at 10 years of service.
Yep.
And so it sounds like the compromise was to knock it down to 8 years of service and at the age of 28. So that doesn't seem like compromise to me.
Right. They just,
a lot of the players were pretty disappointed from all reports.
Yeah, and that's what we're hearing as well. You know, you almost want to joke about it that the 12 hours between striking and then signing the deal that was all the money they had in the war chest. You know.
Yeah.
It was almost that kind of feel. I agree with you. I think they got hosed on this, and I think they probably gave away a little too much, and it's going to come back to hurt them in 5 years. Now, everyone seems to think that they're going to get their full free agent, you know, deal in 5 years. I just don't see it. It's going to be tough for them to be able to, you know, to get to that point where they're starting so far back when you move forward. You know, I just honestly don't see it. I think they probably were not forced to sign a deal, but they were probably encouraged because of the influx of international players. I mean, how would it look that you've got these 6, 7, 8, 9 players coming over this year? Prestigious names, you know, even though they're not here yet, Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard, but you've got Kaká, you've got Sebastian Giovinco, you know, you've got David Villa, you know, 2 of these guys we're going to actually watch here this afternoon. How would you like them to come into this and all of a sudden, yeah, you can come here to play football, but you can't come here to play football? You know, Corey, do you think that maybe the influx of the international player had something to do with them rushing to sign a contract?
Probably so. I mean, I hadn't really thought of that angle until you just mentioned it. But yeah, I mean, that, just thinking about it real quickly, that probably would have something to do with it because, yeah, I mean, obviously the deal helps the league, and that's kind of the opinion that I'm taking on it at the moment, is that obviously the deal helps the league, but I think for the long term overall game of soccer in this country, I think it's going to hurt the players.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think that the one thing these guys couldn't afford to do in MLS is to have the product off the pitch especially with the amount of news coverage that they got, especially with this NYCFC squad and the controversy with Frank Lampard and all that stuff. That they really needed to put a product on the pitch this weekend. So I think in the end, they needed to do something. They needed to get out there so that they could be seen and could be heard. But I think that the players, not for nothing, I think the players could have probably used that as a little bit of an advantage. But at the same time, it goes both ways. That if they don't get out there, suddenly you lose interest. I mean, I think I've seen a couple of different tweets from time to time. ESPN wasn't sitting there and reporting, the potential strike. You didn't really see any of that type of coverage going on. Whereas if this were baseball or this were basketball, it would have been a half-hour segment on some of these channels. So I think, I think they needed to get. If the strike wasn't going to get them on the screen, I think they needed to get the product on the screen. So I think player-wise, they were probably forced into it a little bit, but I also think the players might have been able to use that as a little bit of leverage and probably didn't take enough advantage of it. But, hey, who cares? Because we've got product here. We've got something to watch. We've had a couple of good games. I'm going to ask... I'm going to throw it out to all of you, and whoever jumps in first, this is going to be rapid jump in. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see the actual opening match between Chicago and LA. Did any of you guys get to see it?
I did.
I did not.
Okay, Corey,
I watched.
Okay, so Corey and Rob, I did get to watch. I'd say about 3/4 of it. Corey, I'll go to you first. What were your thoughts on that match to open the entire season?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I did not.
That's
it was on a channel that, unfortunately, living in Alaska, the state motto is the last frontier, and sometimes when it comes to television networks, it's that. So, yeah, unfortunately, it was on a network that we don't get up here.
It stinks. All right, so Rob, you said you saw the match?
I did.
What'd you think of it?
I thought it was really weird seeing the LA Galaxy without Landon Donovan, first of all.
Okay.
Don't you agree?
I do. Yeah, that was a little something that was just a little weird. You almost felt like you were looking for somebody. Like something was missing. Yeah.
Obviously, you still have those players: Robbie Keane, Omar Gonzalez, Gianni Sardes, all those players, and it was a good match. First half wasn't really that well, since it was mostly dry and scoreless, but second half was just steamrolling Chicago right there.
And I agree. That's what I took from it as well. Although Chicago seemed to be a little bit more into the match in the first half. The second half, it was one-way traffic completely. Do you think that it's a sign of a good LA side or of a sign of a bad Chicago side?
I think it's more of a good side of an LA Galaxy, to be honest. Obviously, for the reigning MLS Cup champions, they have created a dynasty, and you have these better players compared to what Chicago has. Yeah. First of all.
Now, did any of you guys see the Robbie Keane celebration after his goal?
Oh yes.
I didn't, but yeah, Chad was telling me about it.
All right, Chad, tell me. All right, what were your thoughts? It was a little aggressive, I thought.
I thought it was definitely a yellow card offense, but maybe he could play the whole "I'm a foreigner and I don't know what that means here in this country" card.
Yeah, that apparently means something different.
Yeah, that was something else, and the language. I mean, if you could read lips, you had no problem reading his. And like I said, it was the best way to describe it is it was aggressive. But yeah, I thought, why is he so pissed off? He just scored to make it 2-0.
Is it the Irish in him?
It's got to be drunken Irish at that point, don't you think? I mean, that can't be happy Irish. It didn't look happy. I don't know. It was just it was impressive, I guess.
We shouldn't question it.
No. It was a nice goal from a pure goal scorer, and I just wish he kissed a baby or something afterwards instead of what he did. So, Chad, I am going to turn the reins over to you a little bit, which I am completely not used to. But I want to turn it over to you, and I want you to kind of lead the way for a little while, if you don't mind.
Okay. First, can I chime in about the Galaxy Fire game.
Please, absolutely.
Something that just jumped out at me for an opener in a match where we're coming off this, we just pointed out, where we may not have had a season. Mm-hmm. I thought that, especially in the first 10 to 15 minutes, it was just really dull, and I didn't feel a lot of energy that you would expect to see in a season opener.
Right.
So I don't know what you guys' thoughts are on that. Do you think it's just maybe since we do have kind of a different season around here to where they're trying to get ready in the winter, maybe they don't have their legs yet. But if you're not like completely fit or not, you would think you would still have a high energy level to open a season.
Yeah, I agree with you on it, but at the same time, I thought that these guys to actually prepare for the season, they have to travel elsewhere to get ready. So I think it was more of a situation of they didn't get their legs under them. And the only reason I'm saying that is because the second half was so much better than the first. So for me, it was more like they were just trying to get used to the idea of playing in front of a large crowd with something on the line. I think that's the way I felt, or my impression of it at first. But then once they really got their feet under them, the energy didn't stop in the second half, at least not for LA. LA was all over them. So, I mean, Rob, what did you think? Did you feel the same way?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, it felt like it was just two guys, two prize fighters, just like they just got off the plane, went to the arena, and put the gloves on and said, "Okay, well let's start." And they were kind of feeling it out, and they weren't sure. They probably had the red eye flight in or something like that. But then once their legs got under them, then they really got going.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. It's different circumstances, especially with the strike. Mentally they may not have thought they were going to get ready to play, so that could have had something to do with it as well.
Oh, no doubt about it. If all of a sudden on Wednesday you woke up and said, geez, we just voted to not go to work on Friday, and then all of a sudden you got the phone call saying, I got to go to work on Friday. You've already turned your brain off, and then you have to turn it back on, and unfortunately for them, they have to turn it on while they're on the pitch.
Yeah, so that's a big bummer.
Yeah, they thought they had the weekend off, and they thought they truly had the weekend off. No running around, no kicking a ball, nothing. And it went from that to, no, you've really got to go to work now. So, yeah, I could definitely see the idea of, where that would play, where the idea of being on strike, you turn yourself off, and then all of a sudden you've got to turn it all back on. So we've even seen that. Excuse me. We've even seen that, like in the case of Bayern Munich last year, if you guys remember. Munich had the Bundesliga wrapped up, and like the first week of March, it was done. And for some reason, they looked like they turned everything off mentally, and they suffered in the Champions League and they got bounced. So I think there's something to be said about mentally tuning out, and then all of a sudden having to be mentally tuned back in, and just not being sharp immediately. I do think there's something to that. All
right, so I'll take the reins from me here. I guess the question is, what do we want to start off with? We can could talk about this NYC versus Orlando stuff, or we could talk about the UN's men's national team players in the league.
Let's do the men's national team players. Let's do that.
Okay, so just my general premise here, and the question that I have for y'all is, with so many top flight U.S. players coming back to MLS, how important is it to you that now that they're in a league that may be of lesser quality, that they perform at a high level and put up big numbers, or is it just the fact, or is it more important that they get to play every week and get to build confidence, and will that help the U.S. men's national team in their effort this summer, which is a big summer with the Gold Cup coming up?
Okay. Rob, you want to go first?
Well, I think if they're used into a league where they know they're going to perform well, obviously we know the MLS is growing every day, obviously. So I guess if you have those players that are accustomed to playing in domestic leagues, they would work better as a team because of the I guess the same style that it has compared to, say, European leagues, for example.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I think that you want to see that, but for me, I want to see these guys dominate a little bit more. They're the class of American football right now. They need to come into this league and they need to dominate. I want to see big things out of guys like Mix Diskerud and Sasha Kleistin coming into NYCFC and coming into the New York Red Bull specifically. I want to see Michael Bradley improve. I want to see Josie get back to scoring goals, which he did yesterday, scoring 2 goals for Toronto FC. And I do, the key for me also is the fact that they didn't just bring back Sasha, and they didn't just bring back Mix, and they didn't just bring back Josie. They're bringing in Frank Lampard. They're bringing in Steven Gerrard. Kaká to me is solidly beyond. Even David Villa to an extent is beyond his prime, but Sebastian Giovinco certainly is not. And so I want to see how not only do these guys perform in the league that has improved quality-wise, I want to see, what these quality guys that have come over do. Is this league better than we thought? I think we'll get the pulse of that when guys like Gerrard and guys like Lampard step on the pitch in June and July. I think we'll see some of that and I didn't get a chance to see the Toronto match yesterday, so I would like to know people's opinions on how Giovinco looked. Did he look completely lost? Did he did he look like he was, part of the team and really performing well? These are the kind of things that I'm going to want to see is not only how the U.S. men's national team players in the league hold their own, but how they also hold their own against these stars that have come in. For example, we're going to get a great taste of it today is David Villa, who still, even when he left Atletico last year, looked like he was still playing well, is going to go up against a back four in Orlando with Breck Shea, who's experimentally being moved to left back. It's a position he hasn't played yet. What's that transition look like? Does a guy like David Villa maybe make himself wide on the left side and take advantage of a Breck Shea who is quote unquote out of position? These are going to be the things. And how does Breck Shea handle it? Because Breck Shea is a guy that we're kind of pointing a finger at and saying, hey, when you left FC Dallas to go over to Europe, you were on the U.S. men's national team. You went over there and you basically rode the pine for 2 years. Now you're coming back. Can you reinvent yourself? Can you improve yourself to get back onto that men's national team side and in that men's national team discussion?
Yes, can I interject about that?
Yeah.
With Breck Shea, this is a fascinating turn of events for him as a player. Mm-hmm. Just 2 years ago with Dallas, he was arguably one of the most promising, young, talented wing players that we've had in a long time. He makes the move to Stoke, which was a terrible move for the MLS to sell him to a team that doesn't use wingers. Was an absolute travesty, and now he's coming back to MLS not as an attacker but as a defender. So you don't see that very often. Their fortune changed that quickly.
Right. Yeah, I mean it spiraled pretty quick. If I remember correctly, didn't he go to Stoke first?
Yes.
Yep, and then
Stoke was the parent club. Yeah.
Yep. And then he loaned out into the championship, and he kind of just rode the pine in the championship where you never even heard of him.
Yes, and then you had the comments that he famously made saying that, hey, playing football in Europe is like a real job.
Which is probably why he didn't see the field that much in the championship, because I know some people knock the championship for being a second-tier league, but it's a really, really competitive league, and it's traditionally as physical as people think the Premier League. The lower leagues in England are a very physical league. So if you're not ready and willing to get the proverbial stuck in when you're on loan at those clubs, you're not going to play.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. No, so I mean, are there any other players, U.S. men's national team players specifically, that you kind of look at and say, let's see what they can do now?
Mix Diskerud.
Yeah, definitely Mix and Josie for me.
I think we're going to have a great year out of Mix Diskerud. I really do feel that. I think that that he's in a great opportunity. He's in a great position now. I wasn't entirely keen with him moving over to MLS, but the team that they've built around him at NYCFC, and it's like I said, especially when Lampard comes in, I think he can learn a lot being on that squad, and I expect big things from Mix. Now, I don't think he's going to be the MVP of MLS this year, but I do think with a couple lucky bounces, he's going to be in the discussion. I really feel that way. I've always been high on Mix Diskerud, and I think he can prove it to people watching here in the United States now.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I'm a massive fan of his, and I think the problem that he has is trying to find a role. Mm-hmm. He's got so many different facets to his game that he could kind of do a little bit of everything, but I think if he can settle into a role, especially at his club, and I don't know what that's going to be because we haven't seen, it's a brand new club in NYCFC. It'll be interesting to see how they use him and to see if Klinsmann will use him in a similar role so he could keep up some kind of semblance of consistency.
Right. Also, I don't know much about what he did over in Rosenborg in terms of the club that he was playing with. Let me ask you this, guys, since we're on Mixed Diskerud here. Would you have rather have seen him come back over here to MLS, or would you rather have seen him go to, let's say, like a Dutch side?
Me personally, I would prefer a Dutch side, but I will admit that I'm a huge. I am biased towards Dutch teams, Dutch methods. Okay. I think the Dutch are really good at teaching players that play a more complete game.
Yes.
So yeah, when it comes to the Dutch, I am biased towards them. So I would have liked to seen something like that. But like I said, I admit that I'm biased towards that.
Yeah, and I use the Dutch. For me, when we talk about Europe, we've got the top five. Okay, we've got Italy, we've got Spain, Germany, France, and England. Then, for me, there's that next tier. Still good quality sides, good leagues. Not quite on the level of the top five, but just below. So in there, I've got your Russian league, you've got your Ukrainian league. You've got your Dutch league, your Turkish league, even to an extent the Greek sides can be pretty good in there. And I know I'm missing one or two. The Belgian league, for one, that to me is like the next level. I would have liked to have seen Mix get into a good side on that next level, even heading to a side like Besiktas, who's doing well right now in the Europa League. Galatasaray would have been a good option for him as well. Places like that where you've got good quality players there. We talk about Ajax, we talk about Feyenoord, we talk about PSV Eindhoven. Those teams over in the Dutch league. Those would have been the sides that I would have liked to seen Mix run over to.
Well, I know a lot of people knock the Eredivisie for the overall competitive level, but it's still a league that has a very high technical level. So even if he would have ended up at a place, say something like Utrecht or Groningen, where the club isn't exactly the greatest club in the world, he's still going to be coached by, coaches that would be able to pass on really good technical skills. Mm-hmm. It kind of depends on where you need the guy to develop. Now, granted, Mix is the kind of player who has a fairly good, decent bit of a technical ability already. Mm-hmm. So again, it kind of falls under the thing where it depends on how you want him to develop. But personally, I think Eredivisie would have been a good fit for somebody like Mix.
Yeah. Chad, what do you think?
Well, I guess I would prefer for him, like Corey, to be over somewhere in Europe where the competition for places might be a little higher. But the question always has to be and it was pretty quiet on his front, as it is with some other players, who else was interested in him?
Okay.
And I don't know offhand, I can't remember any reports of any other teams who were interested in him. I do know that maybe a season or two ago, he had a move lined up to go to Portland. But this was pre-Dempsey and this whole U.S. men's national team, return home situation we're in. And the MLS shot down the deal because of money or something. So it sounded like to me that he wanted to come back to the United States. And I acknowledge that the kind of the thorn in the bush that we have here is, European living is not for everyone, which is maybe kind of ironic in his case, since he did actually grow up in Norway.
Mm-hmm. Right. For me, now where we are here, Mix Diskerud kind of becomes the line in the sand with Jurgen Klinsmann. It's clear to me. It's clear and it's obvious. Mix Diskerud is the next central midfielder that is going to be on the U.S. men's national team for an extended period of time. What does Jurgen Klinsmann do with him? Does he stick to his guns? I know Jurgen hates. I can't even stress the word hate enough, but he hates when these kids come back to the MLS because he wants them playing in the top leagues. I mean, that's what he wants. And really, just to rewind it, just to prove that fact, look what he did with Julian Green. Julian Green's probably a kid that would actually be better off served in MLS rather than riding the bench at Hamburg on loan from. And everyone talks about, he's Bayern Munich's property. He's riding the bench at a relegation side in the Bundesliga. He might as well be Breck Shea. He might as well be Breck Shea. So a guy like Julian Green might actually be better served to come over. But you certainly know, with what happened this year at the World Cup, Julian Green is Jurgen Klinsmann's pet project. He absolutely is. You can't tell me Julian Green didn't make the side over Landon Donovan, and I know I'm opening up a huge can of worms here, but you can't tell me that he didn't make the side over Landon Donovan because he is at Bayern Munich and he is over in Germany, and he didn't take a 1-year sabbatical in the middle of qualifying for the World Cup. So to me, I think Jurgen does have a line in the sand point. My curiosity is, has Mix crossed that line, being that he is the next guy in the mid? What do you guys think of that?
I think it's all about timing, really. I mean, he's still 19, so we shouldn't really give too much pressure to him, in all honesty.
Right, but no, my point is, does Jurgen Klinsmann bump Mix Diskerud down the pecking order for moving back to the MLS or moving back to the United States?
No, because he's getting used to playing in the same league as all his other teammates.
Okay, I can see that. How about
just
you?
Like a lot of national teams around the world do.
Right. I mean, that's one of the big arguments. I guess for all these kids coming home, that's one of the big arguments for MLS, where it's a big argument against development in England. The one thing the English hate is the fact that you have this huge influx of foreign players into England, and they feel it's hurting their overall development. Corey, what do you think? What do you think? Do you think Klinsmann draws a line in the sand with Mix or not?
I don't think he does, because I'm trying to think offhand who he could use as leverage to replace him, because because especially as we try to move towards a more technical style, I'm not really sure who he could, like I said, who he could pick in his spot, unless he's going to go down to one of the really young kids that are playing in Mexico, which I don't have any of those guys' names, but I always see names bandied about. But yeah, so I don't know. What I was going to say about the line in the sand, though, is, and maybe I misunderstood the question, I think sometimes Klinsmann does things that sometimes we as American supporters may take the wrong way when he's doing something for another reason.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like his MLS thing, I mean, obviously he wants players playing in a better league, so sometimes when he picks against MLS players, a lot of fans over here take that as being anti-MLS, when it's more it's not so much about being anti-MLS. He's just more pro-Europe, if that makes sense.
Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense. So, all right. So Chad, what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw it back over to you because I tried to, but then I took over, which sometimes I don't have the ability to shut up, I guess. But
no, that's perfectly fine. It's in your DNA as a host. I can understand.
But I want to throw it back over to you with the kit discussion. I know that we talked about that as possibly a topic today, talking about the different kits of MLS this year, because as the 20th anniversary, they unveiled new kits for all of them, and I know we have a link to all the pictures of them. I'm going to start with the two teams on the pitch right now on my TV screen, and that's NYCFC and Orlando. Flat out, who's got the better kit?
Orlando, yes.
Yeah. Orlando. Yeah.
Purple is a very underused color worldwide in terms of uniforms and sports.
That's right. Go Tigers.
LSU, huh? Yeah.
Sorry, Chad, to chime in, the obligatory LSU.
we just spiked listeners in Louisiana, but
yeah.
I agree. It looks like a cool jersey. I was down in Disney last year, and they actually have a soccer store at downtown Disney, and they had the jerseys for sale. And I should have picked one up. I almost did. That was just around the time when the news broke that they had signed Kaká too. So that was the big buzz. Also, just a quick little tidbit about Kaká. Orlando City, one of the reasons they really went after him is because the biggest vacation spot for Brazilians outside of Brazil is Orlando.
Did not know that.
Yeah,
yes, and good reason.
Yeah. So they actually, they planned on really marketing this to Brazil. I mean, Brazilians love Mickey Mouse, I guess, and now they're going to love Mickey Mouse and Kaká when they're on vacation. So, but Chad, I want to throw it back over to you. What were your thoughts on some of these kits that were out there, that the new releases?
Okay, well, I'm gonna throw some power over you and force you to be quiet if you don't mind.
Fair enough.
and I'll ask you directly. So, let's get the thoughts of the other guys. I don't know. I sent out the link. I think everybody's probably seen the new kits. Yeah. The MLS does a pretty good job of releasing them like day by day before the season kicks off, and they do something interesting to where they don't change every year like they do in Europe. I think they have some rule to where they have to keep the same kit for about 3 years, I think is the rule. I'm not sure. But it's something like that. But every year I think they add a new kit, and this year's kits I think are pretty nice. Mm-hmm. And let me actually bring up the list. I had them here.
I just popped the link in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, I got it right here. So we start with, you got Colorado with some yellow. Yellow is always nice. I don't really like that one. But for the most part, they all look pretty nice. Mm-hmm. I think being positive about MLS. So I'm trying to be nice. I like Vancouver's look with kind of the Argyle type of look with the mountains. Mm-hmm. And their white new kit. That's pretty nice. Another one that I like is Orlando's purple kit is class, pure class. Columbus has a nice kit. They got two kits with a yellow kit and then a black checkerboard kit. And then actually the Galaxy new blue kit is pretty nice as well. But my only criticism, and I guess actually before I move on, we should actually talk about NYCFC, which is basically... we heard on and on about how they're not going to be, a Manchester City feeder club or a farm club. But Lord and behold, the shocker of all shockers, their jersey is pretty much the same dang thing as their parent club. So I guess we'll just start there. How shocked are we by that? And let's turn it over to Roberto.
Well, I guess I agree. I honestly agree.
Okay, well, there we go. Short and concise. I like it.
Yeah,
Joe.
Yeah, no. I was trying to just be quiet.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, for me, it's Man City light. Okay, But I say that, take that with a grain of salt. I like the Man City kit personally, so it's not that I hate this kit. It's just that it's Man City light. It's not quite Man City's kit, but it's just a little variation of it. For me, though, the lettering that they used for the NYCFC part, you would have think they would have taken it from the Yankees and not the Mets, because it looks exactly like the Mets lettering. And we've kicked off, gentlemen.
Yes,
history is being made on our TV
Beautiful.
screens as we speak. And that was the only thing. As I looked at that lettering, I'm like, wait, the Yankees are part owners of this team, not the Mets. Why'd they take that lettering, that god awful Shea Stadium lettering? But they did. That was my only complaint about that kit for the NYCFC side.
Well, maybe it was their way to stop the baseball war with the the Mets fans and the Yankee fans to please everybody. Yankee ownership, but Mets lettering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. See, is that really even a fair war there?
Yeah. So, well, Steinbrenner's money is good everywhere, I guess, right? So
Yeah.
we certainly have development here in the match. We have a free kick for Orlando. Looks like about 25 yards out of the box from the right side. Kaká taking the kick, and we've got a header, and it's wide.
Wide, yes,
Wide.
So we had our first true action of the match. There was actually a nice ball played into the box.
No, in perfect position for someone to get on the end of it.
Yep. So, when does Kaká's frustration level goes right through the roof? I guess that's the question. But let's get back to the jerseys. I'll shut up again.
Okay, let me interject too here again, since we're free flowing here. The Citrus Bowl. I don't know how many people have been to the Citrus Bowl. I think Corey, you've been there.
Yes.
Yes, and I've been there many times now. For just a little update, Corey and I both used to live in the same town in Florida, about an hour north of Orlando, so we're very familiar with the area.
I got to cut you off there. How the hell did both of you guys move someplace cold? I mean, god awful cold. Corey, especially you, dude. Seriously, Alaska?
Yeah, let's just say the geospatial world, which is where Chad and I ply our daytime trades at, is a very odd. It's a very odd field at times, and you got to go where the budgets are. And unfortunately, at the time, I got laid off in Florida. Chad had a little more of a little more expanded repertoire on his resume, so he got to hang around a little longer. I had to follow the analyst trail up to Alaska, which unfortunately, when a lot of the budgets dried up in Florida, I got laid off, and I ended up finding a company that had work with oil companies, basically, because they were the only ones who had money at the time. So
okay. I'll give you. I guess I have to give you a pass on that then. But
Yeah.
So sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, but yeah, just on Alaska. Living in Alaska is actually kind of. I mean, obviously it's far away, and I don't get. Sometimes I get 1980s cable choices, but that's what the internet's for, basically. And I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, it's an interesting place. So my degree was in geography originally, so you can't beat it for the scenery in the summer. So it is one of those places I would advise, if you've never been here, you should at least come here once. But just do it during the summer.
Yeah. I'll certainly, after the winter we've had in Connecticut here between Rob and I. I'm not going anywhere without palm trees for a long time.
Yeah.
So, now where were we? Now that I sidetracked us,
We were talking about
Orlando
the Citrus
Bowl.
Bowl.
The Citrus Bowl, yes.
The Citrus Bowl.
The Citrus Bowl. Now, that place before this remodel here that they did was an absolute complete dump. So my point is, it's great to see that the Citrus Bowl has been remodeled.
Or was terrible, yeah.
And I'm really excited to maybe take a trip there soon.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, he's offside. Yeah.
it was
yeah.
by about 20 miles. My God.
Yeah, was that Molino or Rivas?
Molino.
I was gonna say
Molino. There we go. So Molino
Kaká
took
gave the
that
ball.
shot.
I was trying to be really cool because I've got the guide here. I could have looked them up, but
He was way offside. Mm-hmm. So I just want to say the scene here at the Citrus Bowl is great, and we'll get into more of that conversation later. I think when we compare these two clubs at some point in this MLSpalooza, which I was calling it on Twitter.
That was the best description for it. I couldn't think of a better one than that. Let's go back to the jerseys real quick. What was the worst jersey?
The what jersey?
The worst.
Well, the Colorado yellow one isn't so great.
That one's pretty bad for me.
Yeah. See, for me, I thought the worst one was the Sporting KC one. Just that checkerboard. It looks like it should be on your grandmother's coffee table. I mean, that's the only one that I thought was bad. I agreed with you that these new kits, and I actually kind of like the Colorado one a little bit because I never really liked that maroon color. But I thought for the most part they did a nice job with these kits. The other parallel that I wanted to draw, they're all Adidas jerseys, single entity.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a big gripe for me as well.
Mm-hmm. I would have liked to have seen a little Puma mixed in there, a little Nike. I'm surprised. How do the Portland Timbers, with all that Nike money up there, go Adidas?
Well, because the league signs the deal, so the single entity is the answer.
Single entity, I know.
Yeah,
it's so terrible,
Yeah, but you would think from a money standpoint that the clubs individually would be able to broker their own deal and then maybe make more money, but I guess that isn't the case. You would think that if that was true, the league would allow for that to happen, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, that's where the cynic would come in, and that would be me. That it's not in that case. It's not necessarily about making the most money. It's making the money for certain people. But again, that's just me.
So, do you see us going away from single entity?
Personally, not anytime soon. That's actually I was a pro strike guy because I think that's one of the things that I think a strike. Well, let me back up. A well strategized strike would help bring about is the change in that. Because again, that's one of those that I'm a history fan too, so. You don't change. Nobody gives up power willingly. Mm-hmm. It generally has to go through some sort of violence. Isn't the right word, but there usually has to be some major change for people to give up power willingly, which in the sporting world generally involves some sort of well strategized strike.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have. I think it would have gone a little bit further. But the one fact that keeps getting pointed out by of all people, Ted Westervelt on Twitter, is that a lot of the guys that own these MLS sides, they're the NFL owners. Talk about guys with money.
Yeah, and that's definitely the problem that the MLS players face is because especially the way the league's set up is that the owners can afford to not play where the players couldn't.
Ooh.
Oh.
Close.
Yeah.
Close chance by.
I can't see the jersey.
Nemec.
Nemec. Okay.
Nemec.
Yeah.
He's sporting some nice hair as well.
Yeah. It's an aggressive salad, right?
Yeah.
But it was a nice opportunity there. I couldn't see the number up. Was he offsides?
Yep. No, it wasn't.
It's possible.
No.
Yeah, I didn't see a flag. I think he was on.
Yeah, I think it was listed as on there.
And I'm just sitting here, just watching this game and noticing, looking at the official released lineup, they have Mix Diskerud as the most advanced midfielder in a 4-4-2 diamond, but it sure looks like to me he's at the base of the diamond.
Yeah, the last and I don't have the official final release. I have the game notes version of it, and they had him kind of playing as a left midfielder behind David Villa. But it looks like they've gone to more of, like you said, a more traditional 4-4-2 with Nemec and Villa playing up top.
Yes,
so which you may have one of those license to roam kind of thing too.
Yeah, it's true. I think they're going to probably do that type of thing where they're going to give some of these guys a little more freedom to roam. Some of these better players, So it wouldn't surprise me to see guys like Kaká or guys like Mixed Discrude. I mean, Kaká down here on the left now, where that free kick initially that we talked about at the first minute was on the right side. So I'm willing to bet you're right that some of these guys do have a little more license to journey around the pitch. So,
yeah, like Chad and I usually are yelling at each other back and forth when we see things on Twitter about because one of the phrases I hate in modern soccer is out of position, because modern tactics are so fluid anyway that you almost have to have guys who roam a bit these days because defenses are generally just too well organized now.
Right. So you've got to be able to journey, to wander around and kind of find those gaps.
Right.
Yeah. So, and you'd want your better players like your Kaká with a bad touch there, but
oh yeah, that was a terrible touch.
Oof. But guys like that's the guy you want that can kind of dice apart a team. Another quick thing I want to point out. I know it's not something that we even discussed talking about today was Xavi, because I think the rumors were that the most recent rumor was Xavi coming to MLS to this NYCFC side. Is that what have you guys
heard rumors about that? Yep, that's correct.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to do a little.
Yeah.
It's just
I know that they've been after him for a long time. I think he was actually the guy they were targeting before they brought in Villa.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think those are the that's the kind of guy that they would be great for that type of strategy where wandering the pitch. But a guy that also can make that sick little pass. Could you imagine throwing a guy like Andrea Pirlo out here right now? It'd be ugly quick.
Especially as deep as Pirlo sits, I don't think defenses over here would be used to that.
No, they certainly wouldn't. And Kaká at the top of the box? Nope, just wide.
Yes.
Yeah, and a guy like Andrea Pirlo here, like you said, he sits so deep, with his vision and his skill in terms of passing the ball, he would just completely pick defenses apart in this league.
Yes, especially in a league where Kyle Beckerman is regarded as a top defensive midfielder.
Yeah, everybody drink. Obligatory Kyle Beckerman bashing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Again,
we're not big fans of Beckerman over at TDY.
I was going to say, once again, it goes to men with salads.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for me, I've never been a big fan of Kyle Beckerman myself, but I think over the past 2 to 3 years, he's become a better player.
Oh yeah, he's definitely gotten better.
Yeah.
I just don't see the player that a lot of Real Salt Lake fans apparently see.
I would agree with that. Now he's a bulldog in that defensive midfield, but that only goes so far. You've got to be. Let's compare a much better option that plays the same style and type of position. Daniele De Rossi over at Roma. Okay.
And De Rossi is going to take a chunk out of you too.
Well, I think Beckerman's
when you're not looking too. So
I think Beckerman's capable of doing that and taking a chunk out of you. The problem is that De Rossi, he's good with his feet on the ball as well. Whereas you just don't have that same quality or that level of skill. It's a little unfair to compare Daniele De Rossi with Kyle Beckerman, but in the end, the two play a similar style in a similar position, and that's the guy Kyle Beckerman should best tailor his game to. Probably should have done it 6-7 years ago. So, and again, we have another somewhat dangerous free kick for. Wow!
Whoa!
Oh, that's not
a foul
cool.
on the keeper. Yeah.
Oh, that's not good. Obviously, ball played into the box. Bodies collide. Keeper really got into the post.
And that's the NYC keeper? I don't know his name.
That is
Joe Saunders, I think it was.
Joe Saunders.
Okay.
Joe Saunders.
All right, yeah.
Josh Saunders.
So he.
Yeah, Joe Saunders is a pitcher in Major League Baseball. It's
it
definitely
John?
not Joe.
Oh, then that's Josh. Josh.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Josh. Yeah.
I got the notes in front of me. Saunders.
Let's see the play.
Yeah, so we're gonna get a replay of it here. Yeah, it's a free kick from the left side of the box. He has to back.
Man.
Oh,
Ouch.
it looks like his momentum kind of took him into the post.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, it looked like
Right in the
he
temple.
hit the back of his head.
Yeah, and he's also kind of he got a little nudge there into the back of the post.
By his own player.
Yeah.
Number 3 there.
Number 3 there. That is
Seb Hines.
yes. I didn't think Seb Hines was going to be playing in this match. Seb Hines was a recent addition from Middlesbrough. Came over from the championship just maybe a couple weeks ago. So I've got to think, guys, that we're obviously looking at a possible head injury here, and I don't see, with all the talk of concussion management, if they do think it's a head injury, I don't see how he stays in the match.
Oh, very good point. Yes,
You know-
that's the safety first. Is
Sure.
the mantra here these days.
Of course, you're talking to a guy whose daughter just had to sit out 3 months from all competition from a concussion in a soccer match. So she actually missed, I think, like 12 days of school, and then she had half days for like 2 months.
All right. Well, the backup is warming up here. Akira Fitzgerald is his name.
Yeah, Japanese descent. Played in college here in the U.S., though, if I remember my notes correctly.
Very good pre-show
I was gonna
research by you, Joe.
Yeah,
I was going to say Akira Fitzgerald sounds like some anime detective or something.
born in Chiba, Japan, by the way. Yeah, I tried to do a little homework. It's spotty, trust me. You just ended up in my wheelhouse right off the bat. But I'm, obviously, if this is going to be more of a back injury than a head injury, but he looks dazed, guys. I got to think.
Yeah,
he's
he's coming out.
He's
Yeah,
got
I mean-
to.
Oh, maybe not. No.
No, I
shoulder.
don't think so.
I'd probably like to see the replay one more time.
He's bleeding. There's definitely blood on his head.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's about to take the goal kick.
Controversy in the
back.
opening match.
Oh, my goodness.
No, he's fine. He's fine.
Wow. Well, remember, you had a situation, was it last year with Hugo Lloris?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And
Or 2 years ago. I don't remember now. And that was a
I think it was 2
firestorm
years
in
ago.
England.
Yep. You know
So-
what? I'm going to hit record on the old DVR here because the guy that is doing the color in this match is none other than Taylor Twellman.
Yes, Twellman.
Yes.
I was about to say that I have the match muted, but I guarantee you that's obviously
Yeah.
Twellman's giving his sermon right now.
Oh.
Yes,
He-
and he sits on I think, some presidential committee.
Yeah, he's
Correct.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
He does. He also has his own foundation. What is it? Think Taylor, something like that. I'll look it up. Give me a minute. I will find it. But he does have a foundation. We have actually efforted Taylor Twellman on this show, and we've gotten close, but we haven't gotten there quite yet. Let's see if I can find it real quick.
While you're doing that, I'm just watching the style play here.
I say, did that guy just do a little Cruyff turn?
Yeah, you could see kind of the European influence maybe in NYC, and maybe a little the Brazilian flair
Think
that
Taylor.
Orlando has with their ownership.
ThinkTaylor.org is his.
Okay,
Is his
Think
foundation.
Taylor?
Think
.org.
Taylor. Yep.
Okay. Well, we encourage everybody to go there and read up on that because that is, as we've talked about in our show many times, and we've had guests who talked about this, soccer will grow in popularity in this country as more and more information gets out about American football and the head trauma that goes on there. So it's paramount to the future of soccer because I do believe that more parents are going to push their kids towards soccer than American football, given the long-term brain trauma that has been seeing in recent years.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think though that parents should be cautioned that if they think that soccer, when played aggressively, is a quote unquote safe sport, they're out of their minds. They're out of their minds.
No, it is still a contact sport. That's true, and that's a misnomer.
Yep. Yep.
Well, and that just goes for all sports, though, is that there's certain groups of people in this country that think that, well, especially let me back up. At the professional level, all sports are almost contact sports other than baseball, but obviously baseball has the inherent danger of, a rock-hard ball being thrown at you at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. But you're also wearing an elbow protector. You're wearing a helmet.
Right.
You know, these guys have shin guards.
Yeah.
That's.
Oh, trust me, I've tried to tell guys that I played American football with in high school how much contact actually goes on in professional soccer, and they think I'm crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
like, well, come step on the pitch for half an hour, and we'll talk about it after that.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how well you do.
Right.
Yeah. Between that and the fitness level that's required to play soccer, I think the only sport that might actually require an even higher level of fitness is hockey, and it's just actually a different level. It's not necessarily a higher level. But what people don't realize is that, and I think that if they've started watching soccer in this country at, let's say, the college and high school level, what they don't realize is that you're only allowed 3 subs.
Right.
That's the list, and whereas these guys in college and high school are kind of subbing in and out much more frequently. So,
Yes. Can I tell a funny story?
Sure.
About that? Now, Corey, a guy that we used to work for, by the initials of FH. You'll know that. We won't mention his name to embarrass him, but we started watching soccer. We worked with a Jamaican guy who loved soccer, and he understood the game. And we would get together and watch Champions League matches and such. But one year, our manager, who we used to work for, bought a FIFA, the video game. FIFA. I don't know what, FIFA 12 or something back then. Mm-hmm. And he started playing the game. And he made 3 subs in like the first 10 minutes once he saw people got down, and then he said, "Wow, I was really confused by the fact that in the second half they told me I couldn't use any more subs because he didn't know that in soccer you only got 3 subs." So after that, he said, "You know what? I have a lot more respect for soccer players now, knowing that you just can't take people in and out of the game, willy nilly." And to his credit, he was a hockey player as well, so maybe he didn't know the rules. So that's just
Well, there's a reason you don't see 300-pound soccer players.
Yeah.
Other than that one guy for AFC Wimbledon, who I forgot his name, but thank you. Who obviously is an extreme anomaly.
Or how about or Ronaldo?
Oh, well, yeah. Who ate all the pies? It's Ronaldo.
Yeah, I was in Philadelphia last weekend, and my wife and I were at a bar by University of Penn or Penn University, whatever they go by, and she was from Brazil, and so we started. My wife and I met this woman from Brazil at the bar, so we started talking about soccer because it always leads to that with me these days, and I talked about Ronaldo, and she's like, "Wow, he's fat." It's just amazing. But this guy, he's gonna give it a go, man. He's gonna try to play for Fort Lauderdale. I mean, let me ask you: Are you paying money to go see?
Oof.
Oh, just over. You paying money to see Ronaldo play at Fort Lauderdale?
I won't lie. If I was down there, I would probably try to make a match or two. Just if nothing else, for the novelty of it.
That's just it. To sit there and say I saw him play. I'm with you 100%. I can honestly say I saw Landon Donovan play live. Now I missed the opportunity to go see his last game ever, as it was played 25 minutes from my house. But I did get to see him during the Gold Cup that year when they played Costa Rica up here in Hartford. And it's the kind of thing where you sit there and you get to say, I get to tell my kids, I got to see this person play. I got to see that person play. It's some of those things like. For example, probably one of the best football players I've ever seen play is Deion Sanders. And he's arguably the greatest cornerback to ever play football. And I can sit there and say that not only did I see him play, but I saw him return an interception for a touchdown and a punt return for the touchdown in the same game. So that kind of stuff. And I can sit there and say to my kids, I've seen Wayne Gretzky play. I've seen Mario Lemieux play. I've seen Landon Donovan play. So I get 100% what you're saying is for the novelty of being able to say somewhere on your deathbed one of these days, I saw Ronaldo play soccer. World Cup winning Ronaldo, Champions League winning Ronaldo. I got to see one of the greatest players to ever play soccer, and I got to see him play. So I'd be with you 100%. Rob, I don't know if you want to talk about the little project you're working on about the Copa America. You want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. What I'm basically doing is filling up an application for an eventual press pass for the Copa America in Chile.
Oh, nice.
So we talk about
represent low limit football.
Yeah, we talk about seeing a person play. How would you like the opportunity to interview Lionel Messi? You see what I mean? That's it's one of those chances of a lifetime. You gotta at least take a shot at it.
I half expected Kaká to go down there.
Yeah, I half expected that too. I mean, what do you think of the first 25 minutes? It seems like this Orlando side is well organized, guys, huh?
Yeah, I've actually, as much as Chad and I make fun of the MLS, I have to say that I'm actually enjoying this opening half hour.
I've also got to say that with this Orlando side, I'm really, really, really hoping that they play incredibly well. The entire season, I would love to see them make the playoffs. I would love to see them get to like the semifinals. And there's a method to my madness, and it goes to one of our show topics we were going to talk about tonight, is how these two teams got here. Obviously, NYCFC, the story is pretty well known. Manchester City wanted to create a minor league side. I know as much as they don't want to admit that.
Yeah.
This is this is Man City light. We've beat that drum. But Orlando City is a true promotion relegation story, in my opinion. Here's a team that played in, I believe it was USL Pro. They weren't NASL. They were USL Pro, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's and in fact, some of the guys on their roster are holdovers from that team, and their coach, I believe, Adrian Heath. No, isn't it Adrian Heath? I believe. Is that correct?
I do believe so.
Okay. He coached them when they were USL Pro side. So this is a true promotion relegation story. Okay. Now,
without the promotion.
Without the promotion, they bought into their promotion.
Well, yeah,
yes.
but yeah, certainly as close as you can get in this country at the moment.
Right, and
I see the angle you're coming from. Yeah,
but I think if more people realize that this team is not some new creation.
It wasn't invented out of thin air.
No, where NYCFC really was, but the fact that these guys were, for lack of a better term, promoted. It really, if these guys succeed, if these guys really play well and they have a good season and they even make the playoffs or anything like that, you start to make, you strengthen guys like Ted Westervelt and Ben Fasten, those guys who are really, proponents of promotion relegation. You really strengthen their argument that this can succeed, and these teams that are in these quote unquote lower levels can come up and can compete with the big boys in MLS because there is quality in those USL Pro leagues and quality in the NASL. So I really would love to see something like that happen. All
right, we have Kaká on a corner kick coming up here.
Yep. Next question. We were talking about watching all-time greats. Who's the greatest footballer you've ever watched live in person? Corey, I'll ask you first.
Oh, dang it! Unfortunately, growing up in New Orleans. Get up, Breck.
Breck Shea with a dive.
That was a dive.
Yeah, and here comes that yellow card for Breck Shea. Awesome.
Good job, ref.
Yeah, I was going to say, living in Alaska, there aren't many opportunities.
And growing up in the late 70s in New Orleans, soccer wasn't really that much on the map unless you were from El Salvador, which I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so in person, I don't know. It'd have to be whoever that guy was that was for. I can't remember that El Salvador club. There was some club from El Salvador that played an exhibition in the Dome one year that I drugged my parents to. So whoever that central midfielder was for that El Salvadoran club around 1980.
That's the guy.
That's an easy one.
Yeah, so sorry. Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't seen a lot of top-level soccer in person. It's all been... I was one of those guys who... the first good 10 years of following European soccer was basically through magazines and newspapers that I had to scour all over New Orleans to find info about, because that was obviously that was pre-internet, or pre-internet for me.
Yeah. You know, Corey, your story sounds a lot like Michael Agovino. I don't know if you've read the book Soccer Diaries or the Soccer Diaries. We had, or if you follow Michael on Twitter, we had him on the show a few weeks ago, and I've read his book, and his basically about his childhood and how he grew up learning and appreciating the game of soccer, and it's similar to your experience. You know, he'd follow it in magazines. Anything he could get. He listened to the Spanish station. Everyone, but he had the luxury of living in New York City, although it was a rough spot in New York City. But he had the luxury of being able to run over to Giant Stadium and watch some of these matches. So he's seen some of the greats. But same thing, somebody who has a insatiable thirst for the sport, just finding any way they can to just immerse themselves in it. That's what I would take from your following story. That's for sure. So.
Yeah, I mean, I was the kid who around 1992, which I would have been about a junior in high school. Again, middle class background. The cable company in New Orleans didn't really offer that much at the time, but there was I don't know if y'all remember the old Sports Channel America.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So the first time that got offered, I come home from baseball practice, waiting, flipping the channels, waiting for dinner, and there was this was actually pre-Premier League, but this was the English Football League show, and I was like, oh, there's finally a soccer show, because I had, recently seen the World Cup the previous summer. So like a week later, I come home, and there's no more Soccer America, so of course I call the cable company. What happened to that soccer network? And of course they didn't know. And it's like, well, if you're talking about that sports channel, it was a free offering to see if there's any interest. So I begged my parents to pop for like this $10 channel just for a weekly highlight show that only came on like once a week, just so I could get soccer for an hour.
There you go. Just dedication, that's for sure.
So just a lot of stuff like that growing up.
Chad, how about you? Who's the greatest player you've ever seen?
Well, like Corey, my live game experience is limited. Mm-hmm. Growing up in Wyoming, in Nebraska, is where I was at. So not a lot of offerings there. Right. But I will say that I did see Landon Donovan. I've seen a fair amount of U.S. men's national team games, and I did see Landon Donovan play on multiple occasions, including his hat trick against Scotland a couple years back. Oh, so sure. I guess it has to be Landon.
Okay. Rob, how about you? Rob and I, like I said, we both live in Connecticut, so we certainly have much more access to soccer. For me growing up, we just did a pre-recorded interview with Ryan Pinkarski, who's a Canadian soccer player, and I asked him about what his greatest influence was in terms of soccer. For me, I've told the story on our show before. My earliest version of falling, or my earliest memory of falling in love with the sport was my father taking me to see the '78 World Cup on closed circuit television. So
nice.
So that's Rob, how about you? What's your favorite? What's probably the greatest player you've ever seen live in person?
I haven't seen much players recent, and in all honesty, obviously I've been to I've seen the Red Bull play. Mm-hmm. I saw Josie Altidore and his when he was like 18, 19.
Okay.
I saw Jimmy Conrad, I guess.
Yeah.
Jimmy considered one. Yep. I saw Jimmy Conrad. Saw Argentina play with Di Maria, Higuain, Aguero, Mascherano, etc. So I think that would be some players. But no, I haven't really seen a team or a player that I can certainly say that they're better than the ones I've seen yet.
For me, probably the greatest player I've seen was actually last year was Thierry Henry. And I don't know if you guys remember last year against Sporting KC, he scored that goal towards the end of the season, like in September, where it was just a sick cut in from the left side of the box and just a shot across facing the goal into the right corner. It was one of the finalists for goals of the year in MLS. I probably had one of the best views of that goal from my seat. So, it was so cool to be sitting there. It took my family. We were 9 rows from the pitch on the corner. And, here's Thierry Henry walking over to take the first corner kick of the match. And I felt like I could grab out and just take his shirt off his back. It was amazing. And then for a cool little extra treat, in the second half, I've got Graham Zusi coming over and taking those corner kicks. So, it was definitely a cool spot to be. As a kid, I'd gone to see a few soccer games. There's nobody that I can recall as a child, but I did get to go see some of the NASL New York Cosmos matches. I don't think Canalia or Pele were on the pitch at the time, but I did get to go see the New York Cosmos as a kid. So that was probably historically one of the great club teams for me to ever go see in person. So, but like I said, having the ability to live, just 2 hours outside of New York, you have that chance. I've never been to a World Cup match, even when they played here in '94. It's a constant source of friction between me and my wife because I actually asked her to go to Russia or Qatar on the next 2 World Cups. But
did you ever tell the story to these guys about the World Cup, 1994?
Oh, about me watching the final?
Yeah.
No, these guys. I don't think these guys have heard the story. You certainly haven't heard me tell a story about the '94 World Cup, have you?
Certainly not.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely haven't.
So back in '94, the woman who is now my wife was my girlfriend of 3 months. Yeah, April, May, June, July. Yeah, 3 months we'd been dating, and we decided to go to Hampton Beach, New Hampshire for a weekend vacation. It's the first time we'd ever been away together. And so we go up, but it's the weekend of the World Cup final, which was Brazil-Italy. And I am a first-generation Italian-American. So if I'm not rooting for the United States, I'm rooting for Italy. Now, when the two play each other, I do root for the United States because I was born here. My passport's from here. I am an American. But I'm also the kind of person that's never forgotten where I've come from. And so here we are, World Cup final, Italy-Brazil. It is probably the absolute nicest day you will ever see in your life. It was like 92, 94 degrees, dry, sunny. I mean, not a cloud in the sky. I'm at the beach. Okay, I'm basically in a resort town, and made my now wife sit in a hotel room with me for 3 hours to watch Italy lose on penalty kicks. She still has the pictures of me basically chewing on my Italian jersey. I was so nervous. Prior to the game starting, I got a phone call from my younger brother, and my brother says to me, he says something like, "Joe, the game starts." The game, Kaká, nice save. I guess I'm on a little delay from you guys.
Yeah, I think I'm ahead.
Me too.
Yep.
I'm on delay.
So my brother calls and he says, "Joe, the game starts at 3:00. What time are you coming home?" He called me in the morning, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm not coming home today, Dan. I'm coming home on like Tuesday." And he's like, "Nah, the game starts at 3:00. What time are you coming home? What time are you going to be home to watch the game?" I'm in New Hampshire. I'm not coming home till like Tuesday. No, Joe. The game starts at 3:00. What time are you coming home? It took me like 20 minutes to get it through his skull that I wasn't coming home to watch the match, but that I would still be, of course, watching the match. And for me, the World Cup final is usually something big. 94, obviously I was on vacation in Hampton Beach, New Hampshire. The 98 World Cup final was played. That was France when they won the final. That was played on the day I got on the cruise ship for my honeymoon because I had married said woman. So usually
you need to start taking winter vacations.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Yeah, especially with Connecticut the way it's been. But I'm usually somewhere like the opening match for the 2002 World Cup, which was Korea-Japan. I was in Las Vegas and it was 4 a.m. and I set my alarm clock to wake up to go down to the bar and watch it, and the bar was packed with people to watch the World Cup opening match. and that's in the middle of Las Vegas, in the middle of the bar at the Paris in Las Vegas. So 2006, I watched Italy beat Australia on the controversial Mauro Grosso goal. Do you remember?
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, I'll say the dodgy penalty kick.
That's the one. Yep. I was on a poker trip.
Oh, that's a dive too.
That is, yeah. That was a little bit less of a dive, but it was.
Yeah, I mean there was a little contact, but he definitely dove.
Yeah. So in 06, I watched.
Oh, they booked him.
Oh, did they
Yeah,
really?
this guy's booked 2 guys for diving. You have this guy for all the matches.
What is this guy? Ship this guy over to Europe.
Wow. He's playing with fire, huh? Although he does have his hand wrapped around him, but yeah, he lets him go, and then
Yeah, that's a dive.
So there was a little, he was looking for it.
Yeah,
He was
and
going down
did. Wow, he got carded for it too. That's pretty shocking.
wow, unbelievable. So yeah, 06, I was playing poker in Los Angeles, and I was in the poker room watching that game. So there's I'm always somewhere for a World Cup, it seems. Yeah, even this year, the day of the final, Argentina Germany, I was driving back to my friend's house from Orlando. He lives in Charlotte. And I'm listening to the game on the radio, and I've basically got a gag order in the car so that everybody shuts up, because nobody will. And when it went to overtime, I'm like, I've got to pull over. And I finally found a place. I found one, Ruby Tuesdays, and the place was packed. You couldn't get into the bar. So then I drove down another 15 minutes to another Ruby Tuesdays where there was nobody at the bar, and I got to watch the rest of the match there, including the Mario Götze goal. So I'm just
Better experience than I had.
Oh, where were you?
Let's just say I was in a house full of Argentines.
Oh yeah, that's not a happy day. That's really not a happy day.
I mean, they still got drunk and had a barbecue either way, so
Yeah, yeah.
no problem with that.
This same World Cup, I was on my buddy's deck 4th of July. He holds a huge bash, literally 100 people at his house, and we were watching the Colombia-Brazil match. That was the one where Neymar had the back injury.
Yep.
But my buddy's wife is Colombian. So the whole family is there. They've got their Columbia jerseys on. I mean, they are getting into it, and so we started talking about soccer, and all of a sudden, her cousin just looks at me and goes, "How come you know so much about soccer?" Oh, well, funny you should ask. I watch too much of it. That's why. Couple quick little stats in this match so far, guys. Up until recently, NYCFC was really holding the possession in the match, which I was kind of surprised to see, but right now it's 55-45 in favor of NYCFC. Shots on the match right now are 5-2 in favor of Orlando City, and Orlando has the only shot on target so far, which we saw the big save there by Saunders on Kaká, if we remember, just a little while ago. So just a quick little rundown on the stats so far. Probably man of the match at the moment, if they stopped playing right now, is between a lot of players, but looks like Orlin Collin is highest rated player right now on the pitch, according to WhoScored.com. So there you go. Seb Hines is playing well too. Seb Hines is one of the guys that I thought, like I said, wasn't going to be playing in this match, but not only played but started, and has been having a good game as well. So,
I didn't see with his move because Seb Hines has I forget which one it is. One of his parents is an American, I believe, but
his dad.
Okay, so do we know did his move over to MLS have something to do with maybe him doing the one-time switch, maybe getting in the U.S. pool?
Oh, I'm not sure. I do know that when they did move him over, and I read this as one of my facts as well.
Because I know he originally declared for England, but I know obviously sometimes that can change.
Let's see here. City SC also made a key addition in the final days of the preseason, acquiring center back Seb Hines on loan from Middlesbrough of the EPL. Hines, who has 17 caps for England, so at the youth level, will not occupy an international slot as his father is a U.S. citizen. So that was. I don't know if it's. I don't know if he can actually make his way onto the U.S. men's national team from this point. Wouldn't be a bad idea. That something that the U.S. for me is in short supply of is center backs. I know we've got Matt Beasler. I know we've got what's his name, Omar Gonzalez out in L.A. I know we've had Jeff Cameron kind of slot into that spot a little bit from time to time. So Seb Hines wouldn't be a bad little addition there as well. But I don't know if because he's cap tied at the youth level, I think he can still make the switch over. But I don't know if that was the reason for him to coming to MLS. Per se.
I just wasn't sure because
it was ugly.
Yeah, I thought it would have been if it was just strictly a regular loan move, it would have been kind of an odd move to come from England. But yeah, so I was just curious.
Yeah, no, but I liked. I was interested in the fact that because his dad's a U.S. citizen, he doesn't take up an international slot on the team. It's kind of a tricky little way to do it, don't you think?
Yeah, which I wrote a joke blog post about that a year ago about the MLS roster scientists, where it just seems like they make stuff up on the fly sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. Quick question. I want to rewind it back to the. And this is just I don't know. Going back to the CBA that they just signed, did they increase the DP slots from 3 to 4?
That I don't know. Yeah,
I don't
you would
know
have to
either.
ask Chad. Chad's the one to when it comes. Chad's the wealth of information when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, from what I could tell, no. Now, just like with MLS, with anything, they didn't really release what the deal was. But to be fair, I guess probably not every league does that as well.
Right.
So they've been little forthcoming with the information, but no, the DP slots have not been up to 4 as it's been reported. But I can tell you that it is being reported that the money for the DPs is no longer regulated in the CBA.
Okay.
So it seems like it's a pay what you want type of thing, but it still only counts a certain amount in the cap. We don't know what that number is as of now. So it'll be interesting to see. Once this does, it will all come out eventually.
Yeah.
To see what has happened with those CBA spots or those DP spots, but to know that they're not regulated in the new CBA, it shows the problem that the players have between, your superstars and then your run-of-the-mill players.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think the league can survive long-term with such a big gap.
No, I don't either. Where some of these guys, up until this CBA, practically qualified for welfare.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
And here they are playing in a major league in the world. I mean, it's not like MLS is the absolute worst domestic league in the world. I mean, I forget where the ranking is as of late. I think it's like 37th or 38th. I'd have to look that up. But these guys are making
For what?
For overall domestic leagues. They I believe FIFA does it where they rank the domestic leads.
Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah. And just to throw in there, Jimmy Conrad just tweeted a few minutes ago, by his math, the soccer club of Orlando City looks much better than the football club of New York City. Therefore, we should call it soccer.
And I just have your ranking right here. It's for the United States, it's 49th.
The
world.
MLS is ranked.
Yep, MLS is technically the 49th strongest league in the world.
Okay, so there you go.
Wow. Yeah.
But think about that. Give us the last place, Rob. Do you have that?
Vanuatu.
Yeah, it's going to be some Polynesian island.
It's going to be
Rwanda.
Where?
Oh, Rwanda.
Rwanda.
Oh, Rwanda. Okay,
Oh,
that makes
so-
sense too.
So if we're all feeling like we can still play, we can all go to the domestic league in Rwanda and play, I guess.
That's correct.
And risk your life. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
you've got to shoot your way in, and then you've got to shoot your way out.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's the problem with being on the roster of Rwanda is you also got to fight in a civil war.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, and we have reached halftime.
And we're
of the
here.
game.
Halftime.
So 0-0. I know all four of us have kept our eyes on this match so far. Chad and Corey, I know you guys do a lot more MLS than we do over at Low Limit Football. I mean, we do cover it certainly, but I know you guys are definitely much more in depth into it. What are your opening thoughts on the first 45?
Chad, you want to go first?
Sure. No, I think in terms of the energy you would like to see, I think the energy's there. The skill looks a cut above most MLS games as well. And as I just mentioned, maybe the European influence, well, not the European influence from the New York City side and the South American influence from the Orlando side might have a lot to do with that.
Yep.
But I think, it's been an entertaining match. Both teams have had some chances. We're not listening because we're broadcasting, but the atmosphere is probably outstanding, it sounds like.
Yeah, it looks like it, that's for sure.
Yeah, so I think it's on par. It's just too bad this wasn't the opening match because, as I said, that LA-Chicago match had much lacking.
Yeah. Chad, go ahead. I'm going to let you go, and then I'll jump in.
Yeah, go ahead, Corey.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, let me clarify Joe's statement that we might cover a little more MLS, but it's mainly because we're usually mocking it. Sometimes it's in jest, sometimes it's not. But yeah, I think it looks like your typical opening match of most leagues. Players look a little rusty. Some of the touches are a little off. Some of the passes aren't coming off. But there looks to be a lot more energy than the couple matches that I've seen, or the bits of matches that I've seen this weekend. Like Chad said, can't hear it, but the atmosphere in Orlando looks pretty good. I've seen a couple of neat little fan flags, so it looks like the Orlando City, their fans, it looks like they kind of have some of the supporter culture down. Like I saw one that had a skull that just simply said "Ruckus," which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like they got the supporter culture down, which obviously, as we said earlier, since it's a club that's not invented out of thin air, that's probably why that is. But yeah, so for the match itself, like I was saying a minute ago, it just seems like your typical opening match. Players look a little bit rusty, which obviously is going to take some time to get into form.
Mm-hmm.
It's shaping up to be like a 1-0 kind of match where the winning goal comes off of like a deflection or something.
Yeah. Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was really defensive, so to speak. Obviously, Orlando is having more of the better match than NYCFC, to be fair.
Yeah.
I can agree on that.
And even though the statistics, I'm just going to refresh my statistics page here on who scored. The statistics were pointing heavily in favor of NYCFC going into, just before we were coming up onto the half, but now it's even. Possession's almost completely even, 51-49 in favor of NYCFC, but Orlando's still having that only shot on goal. Personally, I think the quality of this match is actually better than... Now, the only thing I have to go on is the LA match that I saw on Friday night, but I think these two teams are providing a much more entertaining style so far in this match. It's certainly much more enjoyable. I
would definitely agree with that.
I was hoping to see a little bit more out of Kaká coming in, so far. I don't think he's playing quite up to what people expect him to play up to. And could it be rust? I don't know, because he came over being in season in Brazil. So I would have expected a little more out of him. I do agree with the rust comment that you made, that they do look, as players, they do look a little more rusty. But I think the quality wise, compared to that LA Chicago match, I think these guys are playing much, much better. A nice pace to the match, back and forth. The possession number is obviously when you've got a possession number that is that close to the mark, you're going to get an entertaining match for the most part. So and that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, and I just want to make a quick comment because they're showing clips of the Toronto match.
Yeah,
I didn't know until just now that Josie's second goal was a Panenka penalty.
Yeah, you saw that. Yeah,
take that, haters! Take that, Josie haters! Panenka.
In the 90th minute, on top of it.
Yeah.
Nice and late. But his first goal was pretty nice. Made a little move around the goalie, and then slotting it home there. So that wasn't a terrible goal. And this looks like the Portland RSL highlights, with a fired up Nick Raimondo. And then I didn't see who Portland replaced Donovan Ricketts with. So I guess I should go research that, because obviously Donovan Ricketts is now in Orlando. So Yeah, the other name I want to bring up is Nick Raimondo, guys. That we just saw his face flash, a little angry Nick Raimondo there. I don't know if you guys saw that on the highlight reel.
Yes.
We talk about American goaltenders. We've talked about it on our show quite a bit. If we produce one great thing in this country, it is American goaltenders. We've been doing it for about 20, 25 years now. For me, Nick Raimondo is just an unfortunate casualty in a golden age. Obviously Tim Howard had to wait for Casey Keller to get, to get old, and Brad Friedel to get old, which Brad seems to have forgotten he's done that. But you go from Casey Keller, Casey Keller, Brad Friedel to Tim Howard, Brad Guzan. I look at Bill Hamid as the next great American goalkeeper. Nick Raimondo, I think, is kind of lost in the shuffle because he's been such a fantastic goaltender for so long that people seem to forget about him as such a quality goalie. And unfortunately, because he's not playing in Europe, he's number 3 on the depth charts. Do you think maybe Raimondo would have been a bigger choice or a much more frequent choice of the U.S. men's national team in general if he were playing in Europe?
Anyone? I'll go.
All right, go.
Yeah, I absolutely. I like Raimondo because the other thing I would add to the thing about the keepers is that not only are we basically blessed with like you said, a golden generation of keepers in this country, but the thing I like about it is we also tend to have very athletic keepers, which sometimes you don't get that in Europe. It's basically they're the number one keeper because they're tall and they can catch the ball. But, when it comes to like athleticism, a lot of times even good keepers can, be a little lacking overseas. And that's what I like about Raimondo is that he's a little short for a keeper, or your prototypical keeper, but he makes up for that in his athleticism. So yeah, I completely agree with your point that I definitely think he would have played a lot more. He just happened to, like you said, to come up in an age where, he's behind Guzan, Keller, and Howard for the better part of a decade.
Right. So and it's just too bad because, like you said, he is a heck of a player.
Yeah, you could do far worse than have Nick Raimondo as your keeper.
Oh God, no. And there's Mr. Don Garber. The most hated commissioner in sports.
Yeah.
I don't know who's more hated than Don Garber in professional sports as in terms of a commissioner.
Roger Goodell is way worse than Don Garber.
Yeah, I was gonna say as the sitting Saints fan, I have to say on the behalf of my brethren, definitely Roger Goodell.
Okay.
Where's the evidence, Raj?
Yeah.
Where's the evidence of the bounties?
Rob, who do you got?
Seb Blatter.
Well, he's FIFA president. He's not really a commissioner of a league of a specific league. For me, I think it's Gary Bettman.
Oh,
I can't stand the guy.
Bad too.
When David Stern was in charge of the NBA.
People didn't like Stern, but Stern was he was a reasonable commissioner. And people talk about what's his name, the baseball commissioner there that I can't think of right now.
Seelig, who just retired.
Seelig, that's the one. Yeah. People didn't care for Seelig because they thought he was more of a puppet to rich owners. But for me, it's always been Gary Bettman. I'm a Hartford Whalers guy. and
America's team.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And I think there are probably about 3 million residents in the state of Connecticut like to take a baseball bat to his knees. Aggressively.
Yeah, I forget they moved to. Are they the current
Carolina?
Coyotes?
No, the Carolina Hurricanes.
Carolina, okay.
And then the Carolina Hurricanes go down to Carolinas and win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, which the problem with taking the bat to Gary Bettman's knees is nowadays you would get the extra instigator penalty.
Yeah,
a little hockey humor.
I'd spend a little more 2 minutes in the sin bin for that.
Yeah,
trust me.
Remove the instigator penalty, Gary.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw the link that I threw up in the chat. The Bleacher Report link.
Oh, looking at it
Yep.
now.
Yes,
Yep.
you and I discussed this the other day.
We did. Yeah. So this is a story. I figured this is a good thing. I don't know if we even have it on the list, but
No, it's a good discussion. We got plenty of time.
We do. But this is an article that Bleacher Report put out just a few days ago. That is the top 50 players, March 3rd. So, 5 days ago. The top 50 players in MLS. They ranked the top 50 players. We can do so much with this list. I don't even know where to begin. I'll tell you what, Chad. I know where to begin. Fire away. I'm going to let you lead the way.
It's not really the list related, but let's just can we all agree the horrifying reality where Bleacher Report has become over the years kind of mainstream.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrifying to me.
It is, but you know what? The problem is there's a lot of people out there that don't really care for the 4-letter network anymore. You know?
Yes, and we lead that bandwagon along with the 3-letter network that we don't like to talk about either.
Yeah, but I have to.
What about those friends that are Joe? What about those friends at the other 4-letter network?
BN.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan of BN Sport. I can't say enough good about them. And at Low Limit Football, we've been very, very fortunate. It seems like anytime we reach out to any of their hosts, any of their commentators, anything, and ask them to come on the show, they are more than happy to do it. Jeremy St. Louis, who's always on the Express and on the Locker Room, has twice been on our show. He has rushed home from taping the Locker Room or broadcasting the Locker Room to pick up his phone and call us and spend 45 minutes on the phone with us on 2 occasions. George D. Metellus, Ray Hudson we've had, Ian Joy, Phil Shane, Andres Cordero, Tim Stannard, who's La Liga Loca. I know I'm missing at least 1 or 2 names in that list, but they've always been wonderful. And my family hates me because they think our television is stuck on beIN Sports. Okay, and so I watch all the time, and even I'll watch the Express Extra at night at like 9:00, and then I'll wake up in the morning getting ready for work, and I'll watch it again. Just to make sure I caught every little tidbit that I want to catch that I want to talk about on our show. So, I can't say enough good stuff about beIN Sport. I just, it'll become a love fest if I keep going. So, so Bleacher Report has become much more mainstream. I guess as long as it's not TMZ, right?
Yeah. Well, that's entertaining too, and your guilty pleasure type of thing.
Yeah. So the top 50 list, Chad, I'm going to throw it back over to you. Obviously lead us around it, man. Go ahead.
Well, I have the link. I haven't. Let me pop it open. But I do remember you saying that pretty much the majority of the players in the top 10 are new imports to the league.
Yeah. That was the one glaring fact that stood out to me. Is of the top, of the top 6 players on this list. Only one of them played in MLS last year. The rest of them are all imports. And there were a couple guys that I thought on this list were way lower than I thought they deserved to be. Bradley Wright Phillips at 25 and Lee Nguyen at 24 kind of stick out to me. I would much rather, especially with the years they had last year, I would much rather have Bradley Wright Phillips on my side than Federico Higuain at 14.
I found that to be odd as well, where the guy, there's a lot of arguments that can be made in terms of why he scored all the goals he did, but when you score the most goals in the league history, you deserve to be much higher.
Yeah, no doubt about
where he was.
Yeah, Javier Morales. Here's a guy that I think deserved to be up higher. Is Alvaro Saborio. He was at 42 on this list. Behind teammates Kyle Beckerman. I'll let you guys. I'll have you hold your applause for a moment. Joao Plata, who I like Joao Plata as a player. I think he's a fantastic player. He's a little spark plug for me. Nick Raimondo, who we were just waxing poetic about a few minutes ago. And then Javier Morales, who, don't get me wrong, Javier Morales is an excellent player, but I think I'm taking Plata and I think I'm taking Saborio, but ahead of Plata. I mean, I'm sorry, Saborio and Plata ahead of Morales. So, and that's the problem with top 50 lists or top 10 lists or top 15 lists, is you can always pick them apart. Look at what we do with the NCAA basketball tournament. We destroy the damn brackets every year because we argue about number 68.
Right.
So,
seeing like Obafemi Martins at number 9, I know he scores goals, but I'm one of those guys that, like, from a coaching standpoint, Obafemi Martins would drive me crazy if he played in my team.
Yeah. I go back to last year's playoffs. Didn't it look like against, what was it, in that first leg against the LA Galaxy? He was just like, he forgot he had shoes on?
Yeah, I don't know, he's such a frustrating player for me when I watch him, because he seems like he's the kind of guy that, he's like, coming from the, Chad's going to roll his eyes, but I have to invoke an Arsenal reference here when Theo Walcott first got signed, and he would dribble the ball out of bounds about 3 times a game because he couldn't control his speed. That's the impression I get when I watch Martins. Is he kind of has this? I liken it also to a terrier that's on espresso, that he just kind of runs around, and that every once in a while he gets, he runs around so much that he causes a loose ball that he then pounces on and he scores, but he, skill-wise, he didn't really do anything. So, like I said, he's a frustrating player.
Let's hold the train here.
Mm-hmm.
The second half in this game is about to kick off here. But, Corey, I think the real reason why you hate him is because he did score that fluke goal in the League Cup final.
Yes.
In Arsenal's trophy drought when he was with Brum. Yeah, so I think that's the real reason, but Corey won't admit it.
Well, that's part of the reason, but just saying from a sounder standpoint, if I was a coach, he would drive me insane.
Yeah. No, I can see it with Martins. To me, I get that frustration. For me, it's when people tend to just tune out. When players just tune out and they don't give you 100% for 90 minutes. And an opportunity there for Orlando with a save by Saunders.
Yeah, because my greater point is he's not a bad player. I don't think he's the 9th best player in the league, like this list says.
Yeah.
He should be much lower, in my opinion.
Yeah, I go back to Alvaro Saborio. I really think Saborio got robbed on this list, personally. Let's put it this way. Breck Shea got listed ahead of Saborio.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
that's one of the friendly debates Chad and I always have, because Chad's more of a stats guy and I'm more of like a romantic, kind of a writer kind of guy, which is part of the reason why I like soccer, is that you got certain players that the statistical output can't quantify how good they are.
Right.
Because, they don't get the assists, but they had the key pass that actually started the move.
Yep.
So, I kind of gravitate towards some of those kind of players sometimes. And the guy, like a Martins, who is finishing the play and gets the goal, and the statistical output actually just ran to the spot where the good pass came,
Yeah.
Okay, another thing, did we just have Kaká just called for a possible handball, and I do believe it did hit the guy's arm.
Yeah, I saw that, and it
was hard for me to tell on that replay, but it looked like it did. He was diving, and his arm wasn't up, but I've seen that given before, so I don't know if anybody else saw that.
Yeah, I did see that, but Orlando obviously awarded the corner kick, which has moved back towards midfield here. No, but I did see that. It looked like they might have missed one there. But this ref, not for nothing, the officiating in this match I think has been spot on.
And I'm a big fan of a ref that has the courage to dive or to card people for diving.
Yeah, and he's done it twice.
Because that's something that should happen more.
Oh!
Wow.
Wow,
Yeah.
big save by Saunders there. Who was that? That was Molino. Molino shooting just outside the box. At first, it looked like everyone slowed down, like there was an offsides call coming. But everyone kind of stopped, and then he steps, shoots. Big save by Saunders. That was going for the bottom corner.
Fingertip, yeah.
Yep. Incredible save. I guess his that shoulder's okay there, but just pushing it wide. Fantastic.
Yeah, now that I've seen Saunders, I kind of like him. He looks like he belongs in Alice in Chains or something.
Yeah. And did you see that Diskerud taking the ball off the line there? I don't know if you saw that when they came back to action off the corner kick. That was a shot on goal, and Diskerud taking it right off the line. It looked like Mix, at least.
Yeah, there's definitely more energy in this game than the others that I saw.
Yeah, no, this has been a great great side. I've got to tell you, there's a little bit of jealousy in me, guys. I wish I was actually just sitting on my couch, taking the game in, than podcasting. But and not that I'm not having a great time. It's just, you don't expect the game to be this good. I think we've seen a couple of quality sides here play. Certainly an entertaining match.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if we should get back to this top 50 list. Is there anything else that we should say about it? So some of the other interesting ones. I look at two players that I want to relate to each other. Fabian Espindola at 21 and Diego Valeri at 18. I don't think Diego Valeri's only 3 players better. And then you've got Dom Dwyer kind of sandwich in between the two of them. I think the order's right. I think probably the spacing is a little bit off. I think Valeri. I'd probably take Valeri off of Dom Dwyer over Dom Dwyer, although Dwyer is certainly a wonderful talent. I might actually, because of the way we talked about Obafemi Martins earlier, who's at 9, the way he tunes out, I'd almost be tempted to take Dwyer and Valeri over Martins.
I would definitely take Valeri over Martins personally.
Yeah. I certainly wouldn't. I would take Martins over Espindola, but and Ricketts almost called into. Oh. Yeah, I saw that just going wide there. Some of the other ones. This is one that he's not even back in the league yet, and I couldn't find anything on his return. Is Eric Cubo Torres, who used to play for Chivas, was then sent over to Houston in the allocation draft. And is still playing for Chivas Guadalajara.
Oh, that's a horrible pass. And
jeez, yeah. Who was that? Was
which
Nemec.
Was met by an even worse touch.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was total MLS right there.
that was like 96 MLS.
Yeah,
going back 20 years for everyone there.
Made a horrible pass, but the guy made up for it with an even more horrible touch.
It made me look better.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it looks like NYCFC trying to mount some pressure here. I'm surprised we haven't seen NYCFC really try to attack that left side on Breck Shea more so. Looks like they're trying to come down that side this time around, but I would have expected a lot more aggression on that side of the pitch from NYCFC, especially given a guy who is not... nice ball in by Diskerud.
Well, yeah, especially with having a seasoned MLS manager that would know about Shea and Jason Kreis.
Sure, you'd expect him to definitely try to take a little more advantage of that,
or know that he's not familiar at left back. I guess is what I meant.
Mm-hmm. So, just to give the top 10 on this list, and then we'll close out this list and move on to other shenanigans. Number 10, Jermaine Jones in New England. Number 9, Obafemi Martins in Seattle. Number 8, Eric Torres of Houston. Number 7, Clint Dempsey of Seattle. Number 6, Sebastian Giovinco of Toronto. Here's where we get into the newcomers. Giovinco at 6, Steven Gerrard at 5, Frank Lampard at 4, David Villa at 3, Robbie Keane at 2, and Kaká at 1. I thought it was also neat to see that the number 1 and number 3 players on this list are both playing in this match right now. And if Lampard came over when he was supposed to, we'd have 3 of the top 4.
Yeah, and as a longtime EPL follower, obviously I don't like either one because they don't play for Arsenal, but to me, Gerrard's the much better player than Lampard. I know Lampard scores goals, but again, if I'm building a team, I go for Gerrard. Yeah,
and Gerrard has more of that leadership role that Lampard doesn't have.
I think he's a much better passer. He can actually, he can actually string together, or he can actually run a midfield where Lampard's just kind of that box to box shoot, and his passing range is a little limited. Mm-hmm. Nice. So if you play the long ball kind of counterattacking style, which obviously Chelsea has done for years, he's a good player. But if you want to get the ball on the ground and play a little, Gerrard's the man for me.
Yeah. Except when he slips with the title on the line, right?
Well, yeah, of course. Well, yeah, if I'm going to pick one, I want Cesc Fabregas, but obviously that ship has sailed for me.
Yeah.
Yes, remember Kristanbul.
Yes,
Kristanbul. Calling it right?
Yeah, Kristanbul.
Yeah. Talk. Not to get away from the MLS thing, but boy, talk about biggest or best addition in the EPL this year. It's got to be Cesc Fabregas, more so than Diego Costa. We were talking 2 minutes ago about Obafemi Martins, how he scores all the goals, but in the end, he's it's the pass that got to him that created that. I've got to think that Cesc Fabregas was a better addition to Chelsea than Diego Costa. What do you guys think?
Oh, absolutely. Well, obviously the Arsenal guy is going to say absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Fabregas was on his way to being the best midfielder in the world when he was at Arsenal.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's such
arguably up there.
I almost think he's kind of an underrated talent. Nobody talks about him as one of the better passing midfielders in the league. Or in the world. It just doesn't seem like his name pops up as much as like the Iniestas and the Xavis of the world.
Well, and I think that had a lot to do with where he played at Barca, where he played a little more advanced, where he wasn't the focal point like he was at Arsenal, and I think that's where he passed up that chance. Obviously, with the quote unquote Barca DNA, he was always going to go back to Barcelona at some point. I think it was just a few years earlier than most Arsenal fans expected.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, that had more to do with the role he played at Barcelona, where he's played more of the wide forward, or that kind of advanced attacking midfielder that gets on the ends of those runs by Xavi and Iniesta.
Mm-hmm.
Where at Arsenal he was the one providing those balls to run on too.
Right.
Yep.
So 55 minutes, or going into the 56th minute here. Still, there really hasn't been much of a slowdown of the pace, guys. I think these guys came out of the locker room just as hard as they went into it. On the heels of the first half. And again, we go back. We're seeing the pictures now of the atmosphere that the fans cheering and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I like that rising that flag Orlando has. That's kind of a play on the Japanese rising sun with the gold sun and the purple background. That's a neat looking flag.
No, this Orlando side has really done a lot of these things right. Visually, no, they've done a good job. You think we're going to see a goal out of Kaká? He's leading the way. Him and Carlos Rivas, the two leading shot takers on both sides. Kaká and Rivas with 3 apiece so far. You think we're going to see Kaká score a goal here?
No,
I think we do.
Yeah. Oh, I smell a bet.
Yeah, no.
I'll go with no. I'll go with no as well.
Yeah, it'll probably be something ridiculous. It'll be it'll be Okugo all of a sudden, who I don't think we've even mentioned or looked at once tonight. Kind of sneaking that cheap little goal in.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, this match is just shaping up to be one of those where there'll be a lot of action, but the winning goal is going to come off of like some deflected corner, like an own goal kind of thing.
Yep. And here's
Yep, good ball by Shea.
Yeah. And that's kind of a better spot for him instead of being in that defensive back role, where we're kind of holding that back line. You almost rather see him if he's going to play, he's certainly not DeAndre Yedlin, but playing in that style where, you're really covering 3/4 of the pitch up and down that sideline, and then playing those quality, those dangerous balls into the box like that.
Well, yeah, I was going to say if he's going to be playing that kind of more fullback, wingback role, he'd probably be better served in doing it, in a back three, almost like in a 3-4-3 kind of thing, where he's, part midfielder, part wingback.
Right.
And it looks like NYCFC is about to ready the first sub for the match.
Okay.
So I didn't see who it was, but he's definitely coming on. It looks like
I didn't see it either.
Which is interesting. I don't know. I think at this stage of the match, I think I'd let this side play on another 5-10 minutes. I don't think I'd want to make a change just yet, unless somebody's really dragging that I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I was going to say because I imagine at this point it wouldn't be a tactical sub because I think as being a manager of either one of these sides, I think I have to be pretty pleased with the way each side's playing.
Yeah.
Unless one's gonna drastically change something for some reason.
Yeah, I change the formation or change the.
Yeah, which at 0-0, I don't know why you would do that, but
No, unless you're just really trying to take the game. The problem is that you could end up giving the game as well.
right.
It looks like, is it going to be Grabavoy? No. As they've got him on the screen now. It looks like Mix has been really active here in this midfield role. Seen him on the ball quite a bit in the second half so far.
Yeah, as we said, he's playing in looks like at the base of the diamond there, so he's got a lot of space to work with.
Yeah.
And he's getting on the ball, so I think, I don't know, as I said, he's got such a versatile skill set, it's kind of hard to figure out where to play him.
I agree. But that's an advantage of having a player of his caliber on your side, is that you can play him multiple places. So looks like we're building something here for Orlando. Oh, that one!
Nope.
Wow, that one!
He's going to card him for. Is that going to be a third card for a dive? Oh no!
No, I think that one. I think Brovsky really did get him that time.
But they're calling it outside the box.
Outside
it's
the
close.
box.
I'd have to see the replay here.
Let's see here.
Yeah, no, it was definitely outside the box.
Yep.
Wow! Oh
I don't
no!
know. Did he get him?
He never touched him.
Oof.
I don't think he did either.
No, he never touched him.
I think there was like minimal contact, and Higuita made the most of it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is
a dangerous
this free
spot.
kick. It's kind of dangerous, but I don't know. I mean, the angle's good, but the distance.
The distance is close. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the kind of thing where you could see a shot on goal here.
So I don't know. Kaká's lining up. You got Shea there. Left-footed or right-footed? I don't know. Oh, it looks like, yeah. Oh, you got Rivas, too.
I wonder if it's going to be... I would think Rivas is going to take it just from this spot. It could be Kaká, though. I mean...
Put it to the back post, Kaká.
Yeah. The one thing you hate to see is somebody go offsides on this one.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was in or not.
Yeah.
It was a little layoff. Kaká with the layoff to Rivas.
Certainly a dangerous chance
on
in
a
the
back heel.
61st minute here.
And he definitely...
Wow.
I don't think the keeper would have had that covered if it was on target.
He didn't.
Yeah, that's one on Football Manager. You get the thing on the ticker. Half the ground thought that was in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that ball is by him before he gets his hand there. Yeah,
so,
that's
close chance.
Yep. Certainly a missed opportunity there, but it's a quality effort there. So Shelton coming on for who was that there? Bellucci. Just looking through my notes here real quick.
I don't know this. Yeah, he's a rookie out of Oregon State. And I don't know if it's a like for like or what. So, yeah, we'll let you look through the notes to tell us, Joe.
I'm trying to hunt it down right now.
Yeah, who knows? With these two new sides, we don't know these players. So
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, because I have no idea who Bellucci is.
Yeah.
All right, so let's
or Shelton, for that matter.
No, let's take a look, see if we can find out who either of them are. Just scanning through here.
This is like Corey and I like to call on the show on-air research.
Yes.
It's outstanding.
Okay, so Shelton. Oh, you know what? It would help if I stopped looking through Orlando City's side and I started looking through NYCFC side. All right, so now we've gotten to the NYCFC notes here. Let's see.
Yeah, the pace of this game is definitely tearing towards, to me, to where someone is going to get so tired at some point they're going to make a fatal mistake.
Okay, so Kerry Shelton he's born in Fort Carson, Colorado.
Oh, here we go.
He's
gotta
off.
be a penalty, right?
He's off.
Yeah, that should
and
be.
off.
Is it a red card? Oh, they're calling him offside.
Offsides. Good Lord.
The officials bailed out.
Wow.
Linesman bails out the official for a
and he's cutting the head. See that?
controversial call. Oh, yeah, and he's
Josh
bleeding
Sanders
again.
is still bleeding.
Wow, that's a bad one. Yep.
Yeah, he's
boy.
metal.
So while we're waiting for him to get bandaged up, Kerry Shelton was born in Fort Carson, Colorado. He's selected second overall by NYCFC in the 2015 MLS Super Draft. Tallied 10 goals and 12 assists for Oregon State University his senior season. He's the Pac-12 Player of the Year, and he helped lead the Beavers to their first NCAA tournament since 2013. So now coming on for him is Mehdi Balouchi, who was born in Casablanca, Morocco, played for Real Salt Lake in 2006-07, the Rapids from 7 to 10, the Red Bull from 10 to 12, the Earthquakes from 12 to 13, and the Vancouver Whitecaps just last year. Appeared in a career-high 29 matches in 2011. He's bounced around the league, a little bit of a journeyman. Shelton playing in the forward position for them, and Balouchi playing in the midfield. So,
an attacking move.
Yeah, a little bit of an attacking move. Hold a little more midfield position. Want to make sure I've got the two players that were actually subbed.
I was going to say, Balouchi's moved around that much. MLS guys need to get his agents. Apparently, he's got some sort of free agency.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, Shelton. Yep. So that was the story on Kerry Shelton.
Seeing the replay, if it wasn't offside, it sure looks like Sanders took down.
Yeah.
The Orlando player. So they're lucky there, because that was a clear penalty.
Mm-hmm.
And Sanders has just been treated. And as I said, I'm shocked that
he's
he's
got a
still
pretty
in the
big
game.
knot on his head at this point.
Yeah, this is, as I said, with this the Hugo Lloris thing went on for quite a while. So it'll be very interesting to see how long we hear about this.
Yeah, this is certainly one of those matches we're gonna have to all rewind with the audio and just hear what Taylor Twellman has to say about it. And I'm sure, Lloris is certainly fresh in everybody's head. There was one after Lloris that I can't remember right now.
That was...
it was Christoph Kramer in the World Cup. They let him come back onto the pitch, remember?
Oh, yeah.
He played like another 15 minutes, and then he was
there was that guy from Colombia, too, that defender that was clearly concussed, and he was waving to come on. I forgot the guy's name, though.
Yeah, I remember that now, too.
Yep. So, we've had our bouts of concussion. Obviously, the training staff for NYCFC doesn't feel that he's concussed.
Oh, that's a good ball.
And he's certainly brave enough to come out and grab something like that, so he's not phased. Although you've got to be a special creature to be a goaltender. You really do. In any sport, whether we're talking hockey or soccer, you've really got to be something special, because it's just borderline crazy.
Yeah, the keepers in all sports, they're kind of like they're like the drummers in a band. They're all a little strange.
Yeah, exactly. So you would think Nemec's haircut would be on Joe Saunders, or God, I did it again, Josh Saunders.
What's going to say that between the two of them, they should start a band with those dudes.
Yeah, right.
Or with those looks. They definitely look like Alice in Chains alternates or something.
Well, look at Tim Howard when he grows that beard.
Yeah, that thing's getting huge.
Yeah, he's got to rein that thing in a little bit. But it looks like Brek Shea trying to make a move down that left side to no avail. But Orlando's starting to hold the possession here again. It's been a little back and forth. It looked like NYCFC was really starting to take advantage of this match. But Orlando City's starting to jump back in, I think.
And I'm actually a little surprised Orlando City's doing it, and Kaká's not been that much of the focal point recently. Not saying he's playing poorly, but just saying that the rest of Orlando City's actually playing that well.
Oh, just wide.
Missed. Number 19.
19.
Is that Shelton?
No.
I think it was. Oh, no.
I think that is Shelton. It was a
right.
ball from Diskerud with a nice little diagonal.
That is Kerry Shelton. So.
Yep. Oh. So the sub comes on and nearly scores.
Wow.
Well, yeah, not really. I don't know.
What's Nemec pointing to? Run your ass to the back post. That's
yeah. You got to get there. I mean.
Well, he's pointing to something. It's like, well, yeah, run to the back post. That's where you're supposed to be.
Not bad for 19. I think it was 19, right? Kerry Shelton? Let me see. He's born in 93, 20.
22.
22.
Yeah, if he's out of college, he's
21. He'll be 22 at the end of June.
Yeah, I don't know the rules. And can you come out early? I guess you can, huh?
I think you
You
can.
could, if you're drafted, you could come out early
Yeah.
and play in the MLS. But yeah, no, the action's picking up, so I don't know what we want to do here. This could be a natural time for us to talk about these two clubs.
Oh, definitely.
And how they came about. And I guess my question for you guys is the reason I had it as a topic is as we have Screeching.
Yeah.
Yeah, Power Tools FC.
Yeah, on the air Screeching. Anyway, how these two clubs came about is interesting to me. And I guess my question for you guys is that advantageous or disadvantageous, either short term or long term? As we talked about, NYCFC's got all the money. I think you'll find that their ownership will find a way to exploit all the loopholes they can in the MLS rulebook.
Yep.
But Orlando has been an established side. A lot of these players have played together, and they won their $100 million promotion
Right.
with their new Brazilian ownership.
Yep.
So I guess I'll throw it to all you guys, and we'll start with poor Roberto here because he's been quiet. We'll let him talk here. Do you think the setup of these two clubs, do you think it's going to help them long-term, short-term? What do you think, or does it matter at all?
For New York City FC and Orlando?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, obviously we know it's going to be competitive, obviously, with New York City FC and the Red Bulls competing in the same, I guess you could say, tri-state area. So it'll definitely be a kind of a rising market over there in New York. And as for Orlando, this is the first MLS club in Florida in like a long time, don't you think?
Yeah, since the mutiny and the fusion.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. So Florida fans definitely are getting their a team that they could be proud of, and for them to represent the entire state.
Yeah, I think, getting back to your question, Chad, I think short term, in terms of quality football, I think you're going to see more out of Orlando, strictly because, like you pointed out, these guys have been playing together for a little while. Sure, they've added their little pieces here and there, and, based on their promotion, but the core, the coaching, that's all remained the same. And there's something to be said about consistency at any level in any club. But on the long term side, I agree with you as well that you're going to see NYCFC throw a lot of money at it. They've got the money from the Etihad. They've got they've got all the brains at Man City working for them. The money they're going to make in New York City with the endorsement deals. So I think in the long term, you're going to see this NYCFC team challenge. I think it's the short term future. I think it's probably within another 2 or 3 years. And it depends on how much emphasis they put on getting some of these guys over from Europe and what guys they get. Do they get 35-year-old Frank Lampard, or do they go get 27-year-old Sebastian Giovinco? Because I think there's a big difference between the two. And if you bring 27-year-old Giovinco over instead of 35-year-old Lampard, and you bring 2 or 3 Giovincos instead of 2 or 3 Lampards, you end up with a team that's going to play together for 2 or 3 years, which would even lead to further success because these guys will all be used to playing with each other. So I think to answer your question, in the short term, I think Orlando is the better option. But I think long term, you're going to see teams like NYCFC succeed because of the money influx.
Yes, and I know Corey's got strong views on this, so let them be heard, Corey.
Yeah, well, as Joe rightly just said, that obviously the Etihad money, and especially if some of the under the table rumors are true that NYCFC is basically an end run by Manchester City around FFP, just meaning that there may be even more of an influx of money coming in because of that. So obviously with that money, NYCFC. I need to come up with some nickname for that. We'll just call them Man City B.
Or Money Grab FC.
Yeah, the Money Grab. Yeah, we'll just go back to the old one. Yeah, Money Grab FC. Obviously they'll be successful because of that money. But I will say that I don't know what level of success that is. I mean, obviously they'll be competitive. I don't think that will necessarily equate to league championship type of success because, as Man City has shown in the Champions League, spending money isn't the end all be all to winning a title. I mean, obviously they did it in the EPL, but in the Champions League, there's more of a competitive balance, or meaning that there's more quality clubs that are highly competitive. So with that, the one thing a single entity league does have is that kind of competitive balance. Some of us might say that that's unfortunately a little bit of mediocrity because of that. But that, make a short story long, their success won't necessarily equate to league title kind of success. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would agree with you that long term it's probably better. Long term, New York City is probably the better bet as long as Man City keeps their relationship with them, where in the short term it's probably going to be Orlando, because I would definitely agree with your point about the continuity.
Yeah, and it looks like Orlando just made a sub. Or no?
Let me go.
Or they were just highlighting that guy for some reason. Higuita.
No, yeah, that's the guy that had the penalty shout.
Oh, okay. I didn't know why they were showing him. I thought maybe he just came on.
Oh.
And it looks like this kid Kerry Shelton is really he's really stirring it up a little bit now up front for NYCFC.
He's fast and direct.
Yeah, I was going to say he's found some little pockets of space on a couple occasions.
Yeah, and looks like Breck Shea is the one getting back there to handle things.
Yeah. So where was the second center back?
So we got Villa here on a corner kick, and they're taking it short to Diskerud.
And I think we might have lost one of us here. Rob, are you there?
Oh, missed!
And a goal!
Oh, there we go. I missed it. I was looking down
to see
I was looking down to see Roberto's status.
Yeah, and I think
I think he is gone.
Yeah.
And I missed the goal, but it's
sorry, Roberto, I was glued to the TV.
Yeah.
That was a nice shot by Mix, a little curler in the far corner.
And now I get to see the replay here. David Villa with a pass that got deflected.
Oh.
And Diskerud slots it in on a
fantastic placement on that shot.
On a nice finish to the far post.
First curler.
Rob, do we have you back?
Yes, you do. I just saw the goal.
There you go. So
great pass from David Villa, gives it to Miss Diskerud and just fires it right in.
Yeah. And just great placement. It's funny. My little daughter, I coach her U8 rec team, okay? And my little one, she's the tiniest one on the team. I mean, she doesn't get it. She just doesn't get soccer. But I told her there were actually a couple of opportunities in her indoor game this week when she actually had chances to score, which were amazing. And the whole crowd is like, all the families are watching, and they're looking at my little kid, she's trying to score there. And I told her, I said, your problem is you're like Dad. You don't shoot the ball very hard. Okay, so what you've got to do when you have time is pick your head up and put it to a spot. She had a couple of chances where all she had to do was, if she picked her head up and looked, she could place the ball. I mean, is there a
penalty?
No, that's definitely a penalty. Yeah, no doubt.
To the spot. And all of a sudden, the game has burst into life. Not that it was lacking life, but
yeah. So getting back.
He's diving.
Is he booking the dive?
I think he's booking another dive.
Wow!
Yep.
Wow!
Holy moly!
Let's see this. This one's much closer.
Here.
No.
That looked like a clear penalty.
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see if we get a closer.
He went straight. No, he went straight.
We need to see a back angle.
Yeah, the back angle will have it, but it looks like he clipped it. Higuita's right foot. I think that's that card's a mistake.
Wow!
I do really think that card's a mistake.
I've never that, but still, even mistake or not, 3 yellow cards for diving in one match.
Amazing.
That's
this guy a job in England.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Anthony Taylor needs to come to the MLS, and this guy needs to go to the Prem.
Yeah. Jeez.
Phew, man, that red card yesterday by Taylor's absolutely ludicrous. I don't know if anybody saw it.
I missed that one. And that was in the QPR Tottenham game?
No, it was in the FA Cup, the second FA Cup match between Aston Villa and West Brom.
Okay.
Claudio Jakob goes into a 50-50 ball, but he pulls out. He can tell he can't get to the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was Agbon Lahore goes sliding in. Like I said, Jakob tells he can't get there, so he doesn't even technically make a challenge. Whoever it was slides into Jakob, hurts himself. Jakob gets sent off because Taylor thought he stamped on him or something.
Okay.
But like I said, when you watch the replay, Jakob technically doesn't even make a challenge, and he somehow gets sent off.
Oh, wow.
All right, well, what do you guys think here?
This is getting a little chippier now, isn't it?
This is, but should Orlando be thrown on? I mean, it's NYCFC lined up in a 4-4-2.
Yeah.
Orlando's in a 4-2-3-1. Now, obviously, it's all fluid, but should Orlando toss on another forward, or is it too soon?
Yes.
No, I think they definitely need to.
10 minutes left. I would definitely throw another one on.
You have to. Well, let's see what happens with this free.
Oh, and
kick
here we
now.
go. This Roches.
Roches is coming on for. Let me get to my players list here. Let's see.
Neil.
Yeah, and with Chad invoking the chippy, I have to give my obligatory. I like it when it gets chippy.
This is very entertaining, and if more games in MLS were like this, I think it'd be good. As we said, this has been very well played.
Okay, Lewis Neal coming off as a midfielder from Leicester, England. He was acquired in the expansion draft.
Let's see if he makes this.
So we got Shea and Kaká on the ball here, and if they let Shea take this, I'd be shocked.
Yes.
Wait.
And
terrible.
off the wall and a chance for.
No, I think he flicked it. I think it's a goal kick.
Yeah.
Just and then to finish the substitution information, Brian Roches, born in Tegucigalpa, Honduras. He is one of the youngest DPs in MLS history at 19 years of age. He scored 29 goals in 59 matches for Real CD España in the Honduran Primera Division.
Oh, wow. So he's a 19-year-old DP.
Yep.
Who's coming off the bench. That's pretty interesting.
Yep. Born on New Year's Day, 1995. So he's 20 now.
Oh.
Born when I was in college.
Man, I feel old, yeah.
Yeah, I would say getting old.
Born when I was almost out of college.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to know how old Rob is then.
Yeah, no, Chad told me.
All right. So, hey, but Rob keeps us young, right, Rob? Or have we lost him again?
I think he's gone again, yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
Well, that's okay.
Going off to college.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's...
Yeah, no, if all the matches were like this would actually be an enjoyable league to watch.
Yeah. No, it's been...
So, yeah, and that's the goal. That's what we all want, and I think we'll get there.
Well, like Chad and I always say on the show, it's not that we're anti-MLS, we're just anti-MLS in its current form.
Right.
Yes, and are they going to get that? Kaká goes down. Just outside the box, and no call. They're letting it go.
I don't know if we've got Rob back yet.
You do.
Oh, good. Okay.
Okay. Outstanding.
So
we were saying very kind things about you.
Basically saying that you skew us younger, which is a good thing because we need that. So, but we've got 7 minutes plus stoppage time left here in this game, gentlemen. You think Orlando can do something to get back into this and even this match up?
Yeah, they definitely look threatening.
Yeah, they certainly do. And I think bringing Roches on is probably the best move. They might need to make. I think they should probably make a second move here though, and bring a second attacker on. There's not going to be much time left.
Yeah, at this point in time, you can, with Shea playing as a back, you just as well maybe
slide him
toss
forward.
on another center back and move him forward.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
And
And
curiously,
there's a bad
that's
tackle
aggressive.
oof.
by the former Kansas City player on Villa.
Yeah.
Oh, red card!
Wow.
Oh, straight red on Colin.
Ooh.
Oh wow! Well, that
and-
changed.
But I've got to say this foul looks like it could have been a red card.
I'm not
offense.
sure.
I don't know.
Let's see. Here we go. Let's see the replay.
I think Villa made the most of it.
It's 1
Oh yeah,
foot.
studs up.
The studs are up
high.
though.
Yeah,
And it's fairly
It's
high.
pretty high in the leg too. Yeah.
Up near the knee.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah. I think it's. I think.
It didn't make the contact that Villa made it out to be, but yeah, you can't do that.
But Villa's got the leg and ankle history, so you have to wonder how much that has to play.
And Colin's got a little bit of a hard man history too, so that's maybe a little bit of his reputation.
Wow.
Well, I think we've just decided this game. I don't see. Although Orlando City does have 2 subs left, they could obviously bring on, 2 sets of fresh legs to see if they could possibly do something. But it's going to be tough. We've seen in spurts this Man City side, this NYCFC side.
Freudian slip.
Yeah, exactly. But we've seen them hold the ball and go through some bouts of possession here from time to time. They're certainly going to be able to do it with 10, a man up on Orlando City. So this is a pretty decisive penalty, I'd say. Don't you guys think?
Yeah, I would say the game is easily going to be salted here, and Villa puts it just wide.
Yep.
Yeah, I would say short of Orlando going all 1930s and coming out in a 2-3-5. Yeah, I think this one's over at this point.
Yeah, it's unfortunate too. I mean, I've been impressed with both teams today. I've got to say, they don't look like 2 quote unquote expansion sides.
No, I'll definitely be tuning in the future.
Yeah, I've definitely been impressed with both sides.
Yeah, they've both played pretty attractive football.
Is anyone going to watch Sporting KC against Red Bulls?
Yeah, I'm going to go watch that one with my kids actually because kind of brought my kids into being Red Bull fans.
Is it on a national network? That's all. That's
yeah, it's on.
Yes, it is.
It's on Fox, I think.
Fox Sports 1.
Okay, yeah. Then I'll probably tune in for
Yeah,
that.
Fox has the doubleheader at night.
Yes, and then after
Okay.
after that at 9:30, I believe is the Seattle Sounders match.
Seattle. Yep.
To round out Week 1 in the MLS.
Which is technically the de facto Alaska club, since that's about as close as professional sports gets to Alaska outside of hockey.
That's true. yeah. Well, Vancouver Whitecaps.
They
Well,
are
just meaning
closer,
that-
technically. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but just meaning most of the people in Anchorage are Seattle sports fans.
Okay. Not much going on further north than Anchorage, though, right?
No, you would have to be a University of Alaska Fairbanks fan.
Yeah, the Aces.
Good Lord.
Well, the Aces are Anchorage, but the
I'm wrong. I'm sorry,
Fairbanks
yeah.
are the Nanooks.
Yeah.
The Nooks, you're right. Thank you.
So, Corey, I guess the next question is, do you own a plane?
No, but I'm one of the few who has a full-time job that doesn't.
Okay. That's always
Yeah.
fascinated me. We talk about getting in your car here and driving from point A to point B. A lot of the point A to point B traveling.
I rarely leave Anchorage.
Yeah. It's amazing though that they have to you have to do that kind of stuff. So we've got another substitution coming on. Mix
Here we go.
Diskerud coming off the goal scorer.
The hero.
Well, for the at the moment the leader in the clubhouse to be the hero
Yes.
coming off, and I didn't see who was coming on for him, but I know it was a double digit. Let's see what we've got there. Looks like NYCFC showed up to be a part of this inaugural match. That is Velasquez, number 26. Let me get the bio on him quickly.
Colombia.
Yep. Sebastian Velasquez, born in Medellin, Colombia, played for Real Salt Lake from the 2012 to 2014, scored his first career goal in a 2-0 win over the LA Galaxy. In the second leg of the 2013 Western Conference semifinals, scored 55 goals and 33 assists in 2 seasons at Spartanburg Methodist College in South Carolina. Born in
Spartanburg.
Yep, Spartanburg.
Yes, I knew a redheaded girl from there. That's a long story. We won't get into it.
We've only got 3. We've only got 2
Yeah.
minutes plus stoppage time.
Yeah, so I won't get into that. But yeah, Spartanburg.
There you go. Well, like I said, one of my best friends lives in Charlotte. We've talked about moving to the Carolina area, including Fort Mill, South Carolina. So,
When Breck Shea offside.
good Lord.
And Breck Shea should have chillaxin on
Yeah.
the back of his jersey instead of Shea.
The moment of the match. Could it be anything other than this strike by Mick Siskerud? You know, maybe there was a nice save made by
Oh, there
Joe
we go.
Saunders.
And he's pointing to the badge, which is ironic.
Yeah.
He loves the club, and it's barely in its infancy.
So, gentlemen, you know, obviously we've only got a couple more minutes left in the show here, it looks like, depending on how much stoppage time we get. What do you guys have coming up on your show? You know, when's your next podcast coming out, and what do you got coming up?
Yeah, I thought we would both get into that since we're doing this dual podcast. I'll talk a little first, and I'll let Corey go. Usually, you know, we do Sundays or Mondays, but with this special podcast, we will be broadcasting tomorrow night. Okay. We will put out our regular podcast talking mainly all things England. We'll be talking FA Cup and kind of wrapping up as we get into the run-in of the Premier League season with, 10 games left for most clubs.
Right.
So, Monday nights is usually where we'll be in the off-season.
Okay.
In the NFL off-season, during the NFL, since we're not big NFL people, but we watch our teams. So,
right.
In the off-season, we do Sundays. And you could find us at twodafyanks.com, of course.
Yep.
Where Corey blogs more than I do of late. And we'll get Corey to talk about that. And our Twitter handle, of course, is at twodafyanks.
Perfect. Did you guys ever get the hookup with Phil Shane?
As I told you, I got in touch with him, and then he kind of dropped off the radar. So, I'm gonna, but I'll send him another contact and see if we can get him on the show.
Yeah, definitely. He's a wonderful guest. If anything we can do to possibly help that out, he's a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pack a lunch because you could be there for a long time. Tomorrow night, Mike, our third co-host, Mike Orr, will be back. He couldn't make tonight. I think I had mentioned. And a goal! Nice, and we draw level.
A Lampard special against Lampard's future club.
Was that Kaká? Or was that the deflection off the wall? Free kick from 20 yards out. Amazing. That not for nothing, guys. That's a fitting end to this match.
Yes.
Yeah, a draw is probably a fair result.
It's a fair result.
Just about to say the same thing. On the balance of play, I think a draw is fair.
And amazing here, 10 men, and Kaká scores the first goal.
Yep. Big deflection off Grabowski.
Yeah.
Yep. Lampard special.
There it is. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Couldn't have planned it better himself.
Wow. And it's off his chest, too.
Yeah.
It's hard to do.
Goalie's got no shot at that. And it's sad for Josh Saunders. He's had a great game, I thought. I mean, really taking a beating back there. And just looks like they're going to possibly come up short here. We're going to have to see, though, keeping in mind that Orlando is down to 10 men. So
we still got 2 minutes and change left.
Yeah, we certainly do. And there's a foul. We're going to see a free kick. So coming up again, like I'd said, Mike Orr, I know who would wanted to have been a part of this, but is a professional poker player by trade. So
nice.
And he's in Canada where they landed the free home of the brave. He's still allowed to play poker online. So this is a big kind of money making day for him. So. We certainly give him a pass when it comes to work, and hoping that he's doing well today at the tables. But we'll be back.
Go make that money.
That's you're darn right. But we'll be back tomorrow night. Our show's always on Monday nights, and we'll be back tomorrow night at 6:00. We do have Juan Arango joining us.
Awesome.
Juan is an unbelievable guest. He is fantastic to talk to. We're going to talk to him about his recent coverage on the CONCACAF Champions League, among other things. But he's a guy that also at one point in time worked for ESPN, so he knows the bitter cold of the Northeast here, and and so we have a good time talking to him. Before we came on the air tonight, we did a pre-recorded interview with Ryan Pinkarski, like we mentioned earlier. We'll be playing that tomorrow night, and we're also efforting a third guest for the show, so we're excited to hopefully get that all wrapped up and done for tomorrow. But we don't have any announcement on the third guest yet, so we'll do that. Normally we're 6 o'clock on Monday nights on this particular link. We are working on building a website, and then hopefully have the code embedded so that we can do that kind of stuff. One guy that we could have added tonight, but we didn't get a chance to because we've been yapping the entire show is Naba Asfar, who is the senior editor at Hound Sport. Big friend of the show, and he was hoping to possibly make it on tonight, but we didn't. We've just been yapping away, and we never really got a chance to even reach out to him. So, but Naba's a good guy to get a hold of. If you guys don't know him yet, get hooked up with him on Twitter. He is absolutely fantastic, and another great soccer mind. He's a Chelsea guy, so you guys are gonna have to take that with a grain of salt.
Final whistle.
Yeah.
Ouch.
All right, and there we go. Final whistle.
Final whistle on the Orlando City NYCFC match, ending in a fitting 1-1 draw. Goals by Kaká in the 91st minute. And I don't remember when Mix scored his goal, but it was somewhere in the 70s.
Like 75, 76-ish.
Yeah, 76th minute.
Yeah.
Yep. So
sounds right.
And also another fitting fact, the two of the big stars that were added onto these sides
Played a part.
Yeah, played a big part in this match.
Yeah.
David Villa with the pass that ended up getting deflected to Diskerud on the goal, and Kaká with the free kick strike off the wall. So great, great goals, great match, great time, guys. Any closing thoughts, and then I'll hit the closing music for us.
Well, just one thing. I think you were trying to wrap it up, and then the final whistle came. Where listeners to Two Daft Yanks who are not familiar with Low Limit Football, where exactly?
Yeah, right now
was the best place to find the show for them.
We're still building our website, so the show doesn't have a website home as of yet. But if you
have the YouTube page, right?
We do have the YouTube page for our link. Which quick funny story is I had somebody in Australia who the other night wanted to listen to the show. But because I played Volare by Dean Martin, the podcast link got blocked in Australia.
Oh, wow.
Because of copyright reasons. So I will never be doing that again.
Damn lawyers.
That's just it. But we do, if you search Low Limit Football on YouTube, you will find the links to all of our 63 previous shows. We have episode 64 coming up tomorrow night, and like I said, we don't have a website as of yet. We're in the middle of constructing it. But if you follow our Twitter handle, which is @LowLimitFootball, I will always tweet the link to the show, and it's also in our description, so you can go there at any time if we're broadcasting. Usually Mondays from 6 to 9. You can click on the link and listen to us live.
Awesome.
Awesome. So I'm going to just call up our show closing music, I guess, and we'll go ahead and send this one on its way so that we can grab some dinner and catch the next match tonight. So,
Yep.
Thanks for inviting us. This was definitely fun.
No, thank you guys. Again, fantastic. We definitely need to do this again for sure.
Yes.
Yes, anytime.
But again, so for Chad Smith, Corey Chatelain, and Roberto Rojas, I am Joe Usello from Low Limit Football. Again, thanks for joining us on this special edition of the show. And tune in tomorrow night, either to us or to Two Daft Yanks. And we'll be sure to bring you all the news and highlights from around the globe during the week. So thanks again for joining us, and good night.
Thanks for listening.